sun is beaming down here in South Wales, not for much longer it seems according to weather apps, but we're here at Llandow, the South Wales Karting Centre for round 6 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championships. My name is Ross McIntyre and alongside me today as always is Lewis Ray. Lewis, pleasure to have you here. How are you feeling looking into this one?
Yeah, I'm feeling mixed emotions going into this weekend because weather forecast is not looking good. A lot of these riders haven't actually had the time on this track in wet conditions before, so it's a real learning experience for all the riders.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. I mean, we saw some torrential rain in this morning's practice sessions. Luckily, it seems like it's going to be dry for the remainder of it, but just absolutely hammering it down. So it's going to be really interesting seeing out there how all the riders are going to cope.
Yeah, it certainly is. All these riders just have to use their head, find time on the track, just take it slow and really just build yourself up for this weekend.
Absolutely. So we've got a few riders here on hand, so why don't we come along and steal a few of them perhaps. Hello, fancy a chat? Anyone fancy a chat? Come on in. I'm liking the blue tongue, how are you feeling?
Good.
So you look at it's a bit wet obviously, how's the bike feeling? You looking forward to the rain?
Well, I feel pretty confident in the wet, and we've just been having some issues with like bikes moving around.
And well, I mean, is this a circuit you enjoy? You know, it's pretty tough out there, like very bumpy, and coming into the back section of the track as well.
Well, it's a good track, but the last time I came here, I broke my arm, but that's not stopping me to win it.
So you're feeling confident then?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. And let's grab Harry Payne as well. Harry, come on. I've got to chat to you coming into this one. Obviously, last time we were here, didn't go too well. Ended up knocked out and being asleep for a little while. But you know, you're back here. Very brave of you. How are you feeling?
Very nervous as they're coming into that final corner. I'm always sort of testing my brakes down that straight just to test if they actually work.
And well, of course, you know, again, to be back here is fantastic, and it's great to see you here as always. But you know, you coming in here, you just looking to get some good results in.
Yeah, kind of, because this morning warm-up in the wet, I got P6, which I'm happy with. Obviously, after my crash, that's really good for me.
Well, best of luck out there. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Let's grab Sullivan Mounsey as well, because we're here. Hello.
Hi guys.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, alright. I didn't go out in the last session because my Motor3 wets are actually so old that I've done the whole of pre-season on them, so there's no point me really riding in the wet, so we're just going to wait until it's dry if it does dry, but it's been alright this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like it's not going to be dry tomorrow. I think the rain's going to hold off for the rest of today. So, you know, looking forward to the weekend. How are you feeling? Comfortable on the bike?
Yeah, we only got here this morning and just kind of rolled out, and it was all right. But I keep thinking it's a very sweeping, wide track. But when I was here on a mini moto, it seemed like that. Now I come here on the Moto 4, and it's kind of right tight and biddy and a bit annoying. But I'm just gonna have a bit of fun if I do go. But it depends really if it's gonna be wet or dry.
And how's the bike feeling? Obviously, it kind of ended up in a million pieces last time out. Is it all fixed up?
Yeah, all the bike's fixed up. We've got better brakes now, turns out. So I've actually got a rear brake and a front brake, so it'll be all good now.
Awesome stuff. Well, thanks so much, Solly, and of course, best of luck this weekend. Sure you'll smash it.
Thank you, guys.
And as well, let's see if we can snag a few more of our riders. You fancy an interview? So, how are you feeling? Looking forward to the weekend?
Good.
Just good?
Yeah.
I mean, do you like Llandow? I mean, it's obviously the only round that we have outside of England, so there's that little kind of special element about it here in South Wales, but it's a tricky track, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite a tight and fast corners.
And, you know, are you looking forward to it? How's the bike feeling coming forward to it?
Yeah, it's good. It bogged out in qualifying, so I'm hoping it doesn't do that in...
Awesome. Well, best of luck.
Pardon?
Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks.
It is quite noisy out here in the bikes, but let's see if we can grab Charles here. Charles, you are up for a quick word?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Here with Charles Mortimer. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, good, thanks very much. Yep, enjoying another FAB meeting.
Of course, they're all brilliant, aren't they? And well, why don't you explain to some of the viewers at home what you're doing here at FAB today?
Well, I work for Michael Laverty and his academy, and I run the FAB team. We've got Ethan here, Ethan Sparks, Ronnie Harris and Archie O'Brien. And I'm just, 2 of the boys are going to go on to other things next year, so I'm looking to bring 2 more boys up to our team for next year. And just looking at all the amazing talent that's here in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that a bit of a job offer potentially for a few riders?
Possibly, possibly.
And well, of course, it's great to see, the dedication from Vision Track Academy as well, to come to these FAB events, to put together a team like that. It's obviously a big investment from you guys, but do you really just believe in the young talent that we've got here in the UK and you're willing to help them rise the ranks?
Yeah, I think for too long, British kids haven't had the opportunities that the foreign kids have been afforded. And we're very, very lucky that Vision Track have backed this, because, of course, they're in Moto 3, British Talent Cup, European Talent Cup, and BMB. So without people like Simon Marsh and people that are prepared from Vision Track and people that are prepared to put some money into it, it's always going to be very, very difficult for the parents to afford to get their kids on. And this is a perfect scenario. We've got a stepping stone right the way through to MotoGP.
And that's brilliant. Well, thanks so much, Charles, and best luck for the team this weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Well, Lewis, again, great to see the dedication from Vision Track as always. Great to hear from some of the riders as well. And again, conditions not looking the nicest this weekend, but high spirits here. I think everyone's looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I think they are. They're just going to have to use their head, as I mentioned before. And it's great, actually, with the Vision Track Academy, what they're doing here at FAB. And just, they've not been here too long, and already the development they made on the riders and the talents of the future for the UK, it's a real sign for things to come.
Absolutely. So let's see if we can potentially grab a few more riders to chat to. I'm noticing one Ethan Sparks in here. Ethan, any chance for a quick word? Go on then. So, championship leader, reigning champion. Obviously, Llandow's a track that probably holds quite good memories for you. How are you feeling coming back?
It's pretty good, yeah. Last season I did quite well here, but not many people have ridden in the wet here, so I think it'll be quite difficult for a lot of people, but I think it should go well.
That's a great tier, and of course, coming off of the last round as well, you've now kind of established yourself as the championship leader. You've kind of fought back from those early struggles, and are you feeling confident?
I'm feeling quite confident. Even if I fall off a few times and get a DNF, I still have a lead in the championship, but it's good to just stay on and keep a big lead.
And well, what's your plans for the future? Of course, we're not expecting you to have around FAB forever, as nice as that would be. But of course, you won the championship last year. You're leading the championship this season. So what's next?
Hopefully next year I can race in Moto 4 in Spain and do that for 2 years. And then because the ages have gone up in BTC, I have to wait a long time. But when I turn 14 to go to BTC.
Awesome stuff. Well, thanks so much, Ethan. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And let's see if we can grab some others as well, some of our younger riders who are with us this weekend. Enjoying your lolly? Is it good? So, yeah, how are you feeling coming into the weekend?
Actually, quite amazing because the first session of the pros I was second. Then now in the quali, I've gone down to fourth.
Well, fourth is still pretty good, to be fair. There's plenty of opportunities here at Llandow, lots of overtaking zones. And, just speaking to some of the other riders, they're saying not a lot of people have been around here in the wet. So is that something you may be a little bit nervous about?
No, because I talked to the one that owns the track. He said, oh, it's not slippy in the wet. So I'm quite in forward for the wet now.
Well, we've got 2 races to look forward to in the soaking rain on Sunday. And well, what do you think you can achieve here? You looking for wins, podiums, just finish the race, get some track time?
Probably get in the podium and hopefully get a win.
Well, that'd be pretty awesome if you did. Have some fun this weekend, and yeah, good luck.
Thanks.
And yeah, Lewis, again, great to hear from a whole range of riders there, some of the team bosses as well that we have here at FAB-Racing. And again, spirits high looking into the weekend, even with the rain holding off now, we've seen for the rest of today. It's great to see everyone having a good weekend as always.
Yeah, it is, and you hear from some of the riders there, they're not scared at all of what's up for them this weekend. They're so brave, and we're going to see that in the race. And like usual, I'm expecting some great racing. Llandow, whenever we're here for round 2, it produced some excellent racing. We've seen almost Moto 3 style races in some of the classes, so I assume that we're going to see much of the same this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, of course, it's one thing to know as well, this is going to be the third weekend in a row, the third round at FAB in a row that we had that was going to be in the wet. Of course, last time at Wilton Mill, pretty torrential rain coming down early Sunday morning, and then as well at Clay Pigeon there was a bit of rain coming down. So, you know, bit of a wet streak, despite all the heat we've been having here in the UK. It's seemingly we turn up and it rains, so something going on there. But again, it's experience in the wet for these young riders, which is fantastic, because, you know, at the end of the day, FAB, you know, it's about starting your career and progressing and developing your talents as a rider, and it's great to see these guys getting all the opportunity that they do.
Yeah, it certainly is, and every single round, every single race actually for these guys is a real learning experience. But yeah, I think we're going to see, well, we're really going to see where the talented riders are today and who can really take to the conditions the best at a circuit that many of them, as you mentioned, haven't raced in the rain.
Well, why don't I hand over to you so you can speak to a few people, eh?
Yeah, right, so let's have a little word here to Philip Soroviak. Philip, can I have a quick chat?
Yeah.
So, of course, you're racing in the Extreme 200s this weekend, and it's the second time that we've been at Llandow this year. Obviously, at round 2, you were pretty fast. You were really impressive. Are you looking to do much the same this weekend?
Hopefully. It would be nice to have some battles with maybe Evan Belford and Sullivan Mountsie if the weather kind of changes a little bit, because in the wet right now, it's my first time here in the wet, so I'm getting used to it. And on the KTM, it takes so long to change the tyres. It's really annoying.
And how have you found the conditions so far this morning in the wet?
I've done like 3 laps, but it feels pretty alright. It doesn't feel too bad. The top section down at the right-hander over there, it has a bit of patchy tarmac, so it does get a bit slippery, but other than that, it's alright, yeah.
And obviously you've been racing the British Talent Cup this year. How's your season went so far? Why don't you tell everyone at home?
My season's been alright. We're still finding the right setup, as it's been pretty difficult. But at Silverstone, I got top 15 from 25th on the grid. I was really happy with that. And maybe I can fight for the top 15 in the next couple of rounds.
And what's your end goal for the British Talent Cup this year? Where do you want to finish in the championship, or is it just right now getting as much experience as you can on the bike?
Yeah, I don't really care about the championship too much. I mostly care about the results that I get towards the end of the season, because now we're trying to just do things with the suspension and the setup, and it feels better than it did at the start. So right now we're just hoping for top 15s.
And here at FAB, are you aiming for anything? Do you want to win the championship this year in the Extreme 200s, or what's your plan here at FAB?
Yeah, I'm aiming to win the championship, as I've only missed 1 round, so I have quite a big lead, and mostly in races it's to try and get a top 3 or a top 2, something like that.
Well, best of luck for this weekend and the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Let's have a quick word here to Bill Harris. Bill, can I have a quick word? So Bill, of course, Ronnie's younger brother, racing in the 50s this year. How have you found the Mini GP 50?
Yeah, it's going alright. I got a podium at Clay Pigeon.
And how have you found wet conditions so far this year? Because obviously this is going to be the 3rd race weekend in a row really that's going to be wet.
I don't really mind the wet that much. I do alright in the wet. So I'm not too upset that it's wet. I don't mind if it's dry or wet.
And Ronnie racing in the 70s, your older brother, has he give you any advice this year, any tips?
Yeah, he's given me quite a bit of advice.
What sort of advice has he gave you?
He's just given me tips into corners that I'm not doing correctly and stuff like that.
And how do you find Llandow as a circuit? Is it a circuit you enjoy?
Yeah, I really like this circuit.
What's that you like about this track?
I like all the flowing corners and the long straights and stuff.
And what's your aim for this weekend here at Llandow? We're coming to the closing stages of the season. Are you looking at a championship now, or is it still just try and get the best result as possible on track?
Just trying to get podiums, really. Getting the best result I can.
Well, good luck this weekend, Bill. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And just next to Bill, we have Henry McCartney. Henry, how are you feeling going into this weekend?
Well, it's been raining quite a lot and I'm really confident since Clay Pigeon, so I feel like I can get the podium or maybe even the win.
Yeah, you go quite well in the wet. Obviously, some riders aren't here this weekend. Marco Holt, who's in Spain racing. So is that maybe the opportunity for you to grasp and just get a better result maybe because he isn't here?
Yeah, Marco Holt is a very fast rider and he's a good rider to battle with. But without him here, it's going to be quite a lot easier to get a top position. So yeah.
And you and Mark Holt, you're good friends off track. Mark Holt is quite an interesting name on TikTok. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
I don't really know, to be honest.
Just a joke?
Yeah, just jokes.
Well, what's your plan for this weekend? Is it just go out there, have fun, or is it, as you mentioned, just focus on trying to get that race win?
Well, if it starts raining, then I think I got the luck with me. But also if it's dry, I think I'm going to have quite a good race with Ethan Sparks and Ronnie Harris.
And at round 2, in the Mini GP 70s, it was such close racing between all of you. It was almost like a Moto3 race. What was it like to be on the bike whenever it's racing that close?
Well, it's just, you don't really set your mind to anything, you just set your mind straight ahead. And there's the adrenaline, it makes you just feel really focused.
And finally, Henry, you mentioned that you've been going well in the wet this year. What do you think it is that gave you that pace and gave you that confidence in the wet?
I think because I've never really rode in the wet and I don't really know the limits, so just trying to find out the limits, go as fast as I can, and then one day I will find out the limits.
Well, thanks for talking to us, and we wish you luck for this weekend.
Thank you.
And Ross, why don't you come back over here? And yeah, all the riders right now, mixed feelings in the paddock, I think, and each rider that's taken this weekend completely differently.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to approach every race weekend as a fresh start. Obviously, you know, different track, different conditions. You may not have been here before, you may not have ridden it in the wet before. So you kind of got to go in and see what happens. And of course, Llandow, you know, we come here quite a lot. It's kind of almost the FAB-Racing track almost. It's the second time we're visiting this season, of course. So many of the riders are very familiar with it, but of course very sunny when we came last time. And it hasn't rained here in a fair while when we've been visiting. So, and it is tricky in the way. It's not too slippery in the wet, but there's lots of bumps and potholes and just joins in the track, and it makes it very, very tricky, especially down the far end of the circuit. So it's going to be tricky out there, I think. So it's going to be interesting, but you know, mixed spirits. I think once the racing starts, though, we heads down.
Yeah, and obviously this weekend there's quite a lot of drama before the weekend even has started, to be honest, because in the mini F1 sidecars, Mick Williams, our championship leader, by 74 points, I believe. His passenger, Mike Helms, will not be on the sidecar this weekend and will not be on the outfit, and instead it's going to be a new sidecar passenger, and it's really going to mix up the championship, I feel. It's going to be, and with these conditions, it's going to be some interest in racing. It's going to be just a real chance to see if Mick Williams can capitalise on this and really just try to hold his championship lead.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Mike Helms is he's off having a baby at the moment, so congratulations to Mike and his family. But, you know, when you're on a sidecar, you know, the relationship that you have with the passengers is so important. You've really got to know each other and how each other work, like the back of your hand. It's almost like, you know, having an extra limb on you or something. It's just, they're so vital. And, you know, even with someone experienced in the passenger, if you've not been on the bike with them before, you're going to struggle the first time out. And, you know, with the wet as well, we know that Mick Williams, he's not the biggest fan of when it rains. You know, the bike doesn't quite work as well as it does in the dry. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, knowing that outfit, I think they'll do absolutely fine. And I think they'll still be competitive. Will they be as competitive as they usually are? I'm not sure. We'll have to see, especially come Sunday when it's raining. But yeah, you know, I think we've got to wish them the best luck anyway. It's a tough ask, you know, jumping on the bike with a completely new person there. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yep, and confidence in all these riders. There's really mixed emotions this weekend, but everyone's feeling great, everyone's feeling good, everyone's looking forward to 2 great days of racing. So let's hear from a couple more riders and some interviews that we've done just earlier, and well, we'll see you out on track. So Finlay, Paul Hill, we're here, it's the start of the weekend. How are you feeling going into here at Llandow for the second time?
Well, it's been brilliant. I've topped all the mini-moto sessions and 3rd in most of the 50 sessions, so it's gone a lot better than recent, and there's hope to carry on.
And obviously you're racing in 2 classes. What is your main aim for this weekend? Is it the Metro Kit or is it the mini-moto?
A bit of both. Just win the mini-moto races and get a podium in the 50s.
And with the Metro Kit 50, how have you felt that you've developed and how have you felt that you've adapted to the bike this year?
Well, it's quite hard to like adapt to it because it's a big bike coming from a little bike, so you have to get used to all the gearing and stuff. There's lots to go with it, and yeah, just trying to get the riding style right at the minute, and other than that, I was good.
And obviously you had an injury earlier on in the season, having to miss a round for it. How is your arm doing?
Oh, it's a bit weak still, but I can just about ride.
And do you notice your arm when you're riding the likes of the Mini GP50 still?
A little bit, mainly like tucking in just because it hurts when I bend it a lot, but other than that it feels alright, like corners and braking and stuff.
And with weather looking to be wet again this weekend, are you excited for that, or is it something that you're almost dreading?
Mainly dreading, but I've never ridden around here in the wet, so I don't really know what the grip levels are.
And Llandow is a circuit. Is it a track that you usually like going around? Is it a track that suits your riding style?
Yeah, it suits my riding style a lot because I'm on the LC. It's a lot easier to get down the straights and stuff, and it's a lot easier to like overtake the pro bikes as they've not got the same amount of speed. So I quite like this track.
And obviously you're racing in 2 classes this weekend. Is it something that takes a couple laps to get used to, just get your mind in a different mindset for being on a mini moto to a metro kit?
Yeah, it's very different, especially because the Mini's a lot faster than the 50. It's just smaller and bigger. They don't work well together, I find.
Well, good luck this weekend, Finlay, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
So look, it's round 6 now here at FAB. We're back here at Llandow. How are you feeling going to Llandow with it being the 2nd time this year?
Yeah, I mean, the first time we had a bit of bike trouble. The suspension wasn't quite set up right, and I crashed twice on the same corner. It completely knocked my confidence, and we had a bit of engine trouble as well because the gearbox went tight. So we didn't have the best time, but this weekend now I've had Clay and Wilton just to get my confidence back. I think I can win this weekend, so good.
And well, you're obviously racing in the 50s and the 70s. What's your main aim for this weekend? What class are you focusing on?
I think I'm focused on the 50 because I'm leading the championship. But on the 70, the last 2 races I got podiums, and earlier on I was second to Ethan, and he didn't pull away much. So I feel pretty confident on both bikes, but I think the 50 is our main priority. Yeah.
And in the 50s, Marco Holt's not here this weekend, so are you just focusing on keeping Archie behind you?
Yes. It's a shame that Mark is not here. He's got a Moto 5 race in Spain, but I'm 6 points ahead of Marco, and I think 20 in front of Archie. So if I can just get a few more points than Archie, I think I have a good chance at the championship. So it's really good. Yeah.
And obviously the sun's out right now, so last 3 rounds, well, last 2 rounds it's been raining. It looks like it's going to do the same this weekend. Would you rather it staying dry, or do you not mind the wet?
I mean, at Clay I won by 8 seconds in the rain, and then at Wilton I won by 16 seconds. So I think if it's dry, I think I can win, but if it's wet, then I am not complaining. So I think we're going to have a good chance this weekend.
Well, good luck this weekend, Luke, and I wish you all the best.
Okay, thank you very much.
So I'm here with Oliver Hall in the AC40 Pro, last year's Rookies Champion. How are you feeling towards this weekend, Oliver?
It's been better. I'm struggling on the new Pro bike, feeling it tough, but we've done another setup, so it made me do a 55.2, so it's a good result.
And what's been the biggest change that you've made on your bike?
Probably the gearing, but basically now I'm going actually slamming on the brakes, not going like that. So then I can go into corners faster, and then just makes it easier.
And well, moving up to the pros this year, what has been the biggest thing that you've learned from moving up from the rookies to the pros?
It's a much faster bike on the straight, but I like it. It's a good feeling.
And talking about faster bikes, multiple times this year you have tested the Metrokit Mini GP50. How have you found that experience on such a bigger bigger bike and such a more powerful bike?
It's fun, but I do like the Metro Kit because it's much faster, and I'm competing in. I've got to try like more harder on that because then you've got to get all the gears right and stuff. And then I mastered that, so now we just, when we do go back on it, we need to just try and get a good result in the timing.
And what's the biggest difference that you felt from going from a mini moto to that mini GP50?
I actually liked it. It's a difference because it has clutch and gears and it's much bigger, but I like it, to be honest.
And Llandow, it holds quite some happy memories for you. This is obviously where you won the championship last year. So headed into this weekend, how are you feeling and what are you aiming for?
I'm feeling very confident and I'm aiming for a podium because if I get a podium I can go on the Metro Kit to race it. But even if I do get a podium, it's good to get podiums, so it's fun.
Well, let's hope you get that podium and good luck for this weekend.
Thank you.
So I'm here with Sam Gardner, and Sam, you've had a season of up and downs. How have you personally felt that it's went?
I feel good about most of the podiums and how I'm standing in the championship currently, but the lows have been quite a difficult time to feel the confidence to get back on the bike, really.
And this year it's been a massive learning curve for you. Like, what would you say personally has been the biggest learning curve for this season?
Probably harder braking and corner speed.
And, well, you're, as you mentioned, quite a good position in the championship at the moment. Do you feel any pressure from that, or how are you approaching it now that we're at round 6 and getting towards the end of the season?
I feel confident and nervous because I'm not very far in front of third place in the championship, but I don't know if I'm going to pull that gap or they're going to close it down to me and overtake me. But either way, I just hope I get a good spot in the championship, really.
And with a chance of rain this weekend, how are you feeling towards rain? Are you a wet weather rider or do you not like it?
Well, I'm sort of a dry and wet, but I know that this track's quite grippy usually in the wet, so I think I'm quite confident here in the wet.
And with it being the second time that we've went to Llandow this year, are you approaching the weekend slightly differently with you maybe not having to learn the track all over again?
Well, I've just got used to the bike again really, but I've been pushing a lot of my markers from last time round, so I think it's going to be better than last time.
Well, I wish you luck for this weekend, Sam. All the best.
Thank you.
So we're here in Llandow. It's the second time that we're at the circuit this year, and it's one that's going to bring up new challenges for riders because it's meant to be wet once again this weekend, and many of these riders actually haven't been able to adapt to this circuit in wet conditions. And actually, riders just come past right now. Jay, come here, have a little word, have a chat with us.
Hello.
So we're here at Llandow for the second time this year. How do you change your thinking going into the weekend of it being the second time in the same year that you're at the circuit?
Well, I've got to change it all together because I'm with a new team this weekend, so it's completely new. But it's been a really good day today on the new bike. Hopefully it stays dry tomorrow so we can get a bit more time on the new bike.
And well, why don't you tell everyone at home, why have you got a new bike for this weekend, midway point for the season?
It just wasn't working with the Simoto, unfortunately. I really appreciated the chance to give me a ride their bike, but I said I was well off my own personal best, let alone near the front. So luckily CW have all been at the top of the field recently, offered me a bike, so I took that opportunity and it's gone really well today on the first day.
And this season, it's been a season of quite a few up and downs, I think you can say yourself. How are you feeling physically and how is your injuries? Because you've had quite a few crashes this year.
Yeah, Clay Pigeon we were still not perfect, but we got some good results on the moto team. And then last weekend at Wilton, the Simoto just weren't playing ball. So we've now swapped to CW. I'm fully fit now. I wouldn't say fit as in running fit, but we're getting there. It feels good. So I'm looking forward to this weekend.
And you're racing in 2 classes this weekend. What is your main objective? Like, what's your main class that you're focusing on? Is it the motor team or is it the pit bikes?
Pit bikes is always my bread and butter, but we're leading the championship in the standard moto team at the moment, so we're going to try and increase that lead this weekend. But we want to get some good results in the pit bikes. It'd be nice to get back in the top 5 again, and I'd like to push in the podium. If it rains, I think we've got a chance.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned the rain. Are you looking forward to it if it starts pouring it down tomorrow here at Llandow?
Yeah, Llandow's very grippy in the wet, so I'm looking forward, if we do get some wet weather, that we can go pretty well in the wet. We have done previously here, so I'm hoping I can do it again.
Well, good luck this weekend. We all wish you the best.
Thank you very much.
That was Jay King, of course, Pit Bike Sonic on YouTube. Go check him out. But yeah, we're just walking through the paddock. It's quite a quiet paddock tonight. It's slightly windy, and I think everyone's just preparing themselves for the weekend, getting their mind into gear, really. So we're just going to speak to a few riders now. And hi, can we have a chat? Yeah? So, Cameron, so how are you feeling going into this weekend?
I'm feeling good. Can't get any worse than Wilton.
And why don't you tell me at home what happened at Wilton?
I just had everything that could go wrong go wrong. I got a new engine, excited for, and I spent the entire weekend bedding it in.
And so is it full attack mode this weekend after such a disappointing last round?
Yeah, I got 7th and 11th in the 2 practices in the 140. So I'm hoping, because we came here earlier in the year, and I got 7th, 6th. I'm trying to recreate that.
And is it a circuit you like then with the good results that you've had previously this year?
Yeah, I've been coming here a few years, so I know the track, probably my best track. It's a bit bumpy in some places, but they've tried to patch it and stuff, so it's a little bit slippy, but it's a little bit not as bumpy.
So have you, with your experience on this track, have you ever rode it in the wet before? Because I've heard from quite a few riders that they've never had this track in the wet.
Yeah. A few years ago now, 2016, I won here in the wet, and it's been maybe 2-3 years in the wet. Not too many, but you know, like earlier it was a little bit of a little sparkle of wet, but the track didn't change at all. So, I mean, not really, but yeah, quite a bit of experience.
So, with your experience in the wettest track, is it quite a grippy track in the wet, or is it similar to Wilton where it's very, very slippy?
I find it really grippy, but I do not trust. They've like patched the track with this like rubbery material. I do not trust that at all. Yeah.
So, do you think that will affect your confidence slightly if it starts raining this weekend with you knowing that them patches are there?
I want to say yeah, but then you go on a track walk and it feels fine. But then you just see it and it's like really shiny as well. So you just sort of look at it and it's in your mind, isn't it?
Well, I wish you luck for this weekend.
Thank you.
Well, that was Cameron Sewell racing in the pit bike class. There's quite a few pit bike riders around this side of the paddock right now, but it's quite a dark paddock at the moment. We're just waiting to try and find a couple more people to talk to, and we're going to speak to a couple more riders. Holly Harris, of course, racing in the British Talent Cup. Sorry, it's Holly, but how are you feeling going into this weekend?
Yeah, not bad. It's all right. Having a bit of fun today in practice, and hope to push on tomorrow.
And obviously you're racing the British Talent Cup. How's your season went so far racing with the FHO squad?
Yeah, I love being with FHO. They're really good. The support is amazing. The help that they do for me is really good, and it just gives me more confidence really for the year. But yeah, it's been a good year so far.
And the FHO squad, what's been the main thing that they've taught you this year and helped you with it obviously being such a supportive team?
It's just taken a lot of pressure off, and that's been a lot better to go out with like less pressure, not putting as much pressure on myself, and just being more relaxed about everything and know that I've got support behind me. So it's just, they've been really helpful to me.
And obviously here at FAB you're racing in the senior mini moto class, racing with a lot of older riders. How do you go towards that? How do you focus towards that and having to race with a lot bigger and heavier riders?
I find it great. I get on well with all of the senior minis. All the people out there are really funny people and they're really good friends. So it's like, it is like riding with a bunch of good mates. Really, it's just enjoyable to be with everyone. They're all great.
So at FAB, is it just more fun, or is it just getting a bit more track time on a bike on a track and getting your mind up to speed?
It's a bit of both, really. It is good fun. It's just playing about in the minis, no pressure, no stress. It is great fun. Like, I have bike problems, but it's not so stressful. They're usually easier and cheaper fixes. But also it is good to get the track time and just be on any bike, because that's really helpful for even just a Moto3 being on a mini moto.
And have you got any aims going into this weekend, or is it just go out there and have fun?
Go out, have fun and try and get a podium, because I'm a bit down on points.
Well, good luck this weekend, Holly. I wish you all the best here at FAB and in British Talent Cup.
Thank you.
Well, that was Holly Harris, and we're going to keep walking about the paddock, try and find a couple more people. Spots of rain are actually dropping now, which seems to be signs of what's more to come this weekend. That is rain, so we're just trying to find a couple more riders to speak to in this paddock. And yeah, so we're just going to walk to this part. There's quite a few senior mini-motor riders actually around here, so hopefully we can bump into one of them. Of course, FAB being a championship of people of all ages for us to be able to talk to. So, and now Reece Gentry actually racing in the senior mini-moto class. Reece, second time here at Llandow this year. How are you feeling towards this?
Yeah, I feel good. To be fair, I feel strong. Fifth, I think best result was today. Feel good. Me and the old man. Mechanical issues out of the way, so hopefully smooth sailing the rest of the weekend will be ideal. Yeah, looking forward to it. To be fair, it's a good track. To be fair, nice rain on and off today, but hopefully for a dry race tomorrow in the afternoon and that. But yeah, looking forward to it. Feel good. Feel strong.
And obviously you're racing the senior mini-moto class, and watching it, it's a class that is just crazy to watch. Just racing all the way down the field, and it's such hard racing. What's it like being on one of them bikes?
It's so hard to explain. You can't see what you're riding, but you can get so close behind someone that you will to will are touching. You got to get out there, try it, and just be on one. It's nothing like anything else. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But it's good crack. Everyone's friendly, like so. We always welcome everyone. But yeah, it's good racing. Really good racing. Really tight racing. But they'll see it on YouTube and that anyway. So it's banging. Yeah, we love it. Love it.
And have you got any aims for this weekend? Have you got any objectives? Maybe a podium, or is it just getting points at this stage?
I want to say podium, but whether or not I get it is a long shot. Good points would be nice. Top 5, I think, would be. I'll be happy. Top 5. Keep qualify top 5 and then finish on top 5. Yeah, good points. I think that'd be ideal. That's where I'm going to go for, top 5. So that's what I'm going to aim for anyway.
And with spots of rain actually right now in the paddock, are you wanting it to rain this weekend, or would you rather it stay dry? As you mentioned, you're hoping to get a dry race tomorrow.
Yeah. I want dry race, to be honest with you. Yeah, I want a dry race. If it's wet, it's wet, but I think dry. I think I'll prefer dry here, to be honest with you. Yeah. I think wet would. I mean, wet makes it good show. I mean, it's completely random who's going to win it, who's going to become where. So it'll be good either way. I think it'll be tight. I think top 5 will be definitely top, really tight in that. But yeah, either way, I think it'll be good. I reckon. But me personally, dry.
And with you being such a tall rider on such a small bike, how difficult is it to get tucked in and get round the corners on these mini motos?
It's not too bad. Especially on the long straight and that, you've got a bit of breather, so you can let your arms and legs breathe a little bit. It is tight, but you do the little tweaks to the bike to make it as comfortable as possible. But at the end of the day, it's still a tiny little bike, so it does take its toll after the weekend. You feel it on your joints and that, but at the end of it, it's all right. Yeah, it's not too bad. You can get around it.
And what sort of tweaks would you make on the mini moto to help a bigger rider?
So like on now, if you look around to our ones, or these ones here, you got like the double foot pegs, wider bars, seat unit you can kind of make longer or shorter. Anyway, like you can make it so the pitch of the seat unit's higher, so you're more on the front end. There's all little things you can do, you know. It's all trial and error. Like me, I'm long arms, long legs, so for me, I like the Evo because it's longer for a bit more breather room and stuff, but other people like the GRCs or the Blatters. It's preference. You can just jump on one and off you go. There's nothing wrong in that, but as you progress, you'll find you'll want to do the little tweaks to get quicker, to get more comfortable. The more comfier you are, the more natural it'll feel, in a weird sense, being on a tiny kid's bike, but the quicker you'll be. So that's the art kind of thing, you know. Be comfortable, be quick. That's the key. That's what you're trying to aim for. But at the end of the day, it's toy bike racing. Do you know what I mean? Twist the throttle and off you go. That's it. So yeah, no, it's good fun. But yeah, little tweaks. They do help.
So with, as you mentioned, these are almost like toy bikes to you guys. Yeah. Do you take it as serious, or is it just come here and have a laugh and have some fun with your mates?
Just come here, have a laugh, crash, win, whatever. It's all a laugh. It's a kid's bike. It's like, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, we're all going quick, we're all trying out there, but at the same time, when you're coming in the paddock, you know, like beer o'clock now, and yeah, jokes and have a good meal and good crack and that. So it's a laugh, to be honest with you. There's no money to win. There's no trophy at the end of the year. Maybe if you win a race, another trophy, but it's nothing serious. We're not sponsored or nothing, so it's just turn up, pay your money, out you go. That's it, literally. So it's not serious, just a bit of fun. Like father and son. So we just come here. No brother, nah, father and son. So, but yeah, we just come here, we enjoy it. It's a good bit of family time and that. So it's Wayne's here now, but yeah, no, all fun. Everyone, like all the other seniors and that, we're all here. Everyone's helping each other. You know, your bike's not working and that. everyone will crack on and get it running for the next session. It's not like, you know, hostility or anything. You know, get it done, get out there, have fun. That's it, literally. So yeah, it's good crack. So yeah, no, he's not serious at all, really. No.
Well, good luck for this weekend, Reece. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Take care. Thank you very much.
And well, rain's starting to fall in the paddock. It looks like it's going to be another wet weekend. Join us here at FAB and stay with us for the full weekend coverage. We have a total of 30 races coming up for you guys, so enjoy, and we'll see you in just a couple of seconds.
Hello and welcome to Llandow. Welcome to the South Wales Karting Centre. You join us for round 6 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship, and it is a lovely, lovely day here, just 20 miles from Cardiff, and the sun is beaming down. I know it's not looking to stay that way for the remainder of the weekend. We're enjoying the sunshine while we can. My name is Ross McIntyre. Alongside me is a man who shouldn't be here because he got concussion and did his ribs in at Knockle a few weeks ago, but he insisted. It's Lewis Ray. How you doing, Lewis?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. The weather's nice here this weekend, so I can't really complain too much. This morning we had very, very wet conditions. It was not nice at all for any of the riders out there, but it's cleared up now, and now, as you can see, some of the people can watch and enjoy the final qualifying sessions that are getting underway. Yeah, absolutely. So just about halfway through our qualifying twos at the moment, just coming to the end of the LC40 Elite session. They've only got a couple of minutes left, and then we the Mini F1 Sidecars are going to be heading out onto track. So a few more sessions left to go before we get racing here at Llandow, but it's a pleasure to bring you all the action here, and of course welcome if you're just joining us. This is your first time watching a FAB Racing event. It is a pleasure to bring you all of the action here from 20 miles west of Cardiff. And well, as we can see, a bit of a crowd forming now. Again, the sun's out, and all of the paddock watching along as they always do. And it's great to see the support from everybody here. I can, unfortunately, it is set to absolutely hammer it down all day tomorrow. I don't think we'll be seeing quite so much support, but still nice to see nonetheless. And actually, along the back straight, there's actually a public road that a lot of people have been seeing or want, come along, stopping, getting out of the cars and watching along. So it is really great to see. Of course, it's been the second time we're visiting Llandow this year as well. Of course, came for round 2, I think. Round 2? Round 2. Thank you very much. So, second time we're back here. It's kind of, we've come to Llandow quite a lot. It's almost the FAB track almost. We came 3 times a few years ago in one season. So it's really earned its place on the FAB Racing calendar. But it's not an easy task. It's quite a tricky circuit, very tight, lots of bumps, especially down the back end. And because of the rain this morning, Lewis, a lot of riders not getting as much track time as they liked. Yeah, we've seen in some of the qualifying sessions, some of the qualifying ones this morning, that there was some sessions where there was only 1 or 2 riders out in track in the whole session because it was that much of a downpour. There was puddles starting to form at the apex of corners, and anyone who was out there practically had to tiptoe their way around. So it's not what you wanted at all to be out there on a bike. But now it's beautiful, sunny conditions. It's similar actually to what we had at round 2. And we have quite a few, well, majority of the riders that were at round 2 are back again this weekend. Philip Soroviak's back this weekend, for example, in the Extreme 200s. It's going to be another cracking weekend in all these classes, because with these mixed conditions, it's going to mean the results we see today can completely change tomorrow. Oh, absolutely. I mean, they say rain is the great equaliser in motorsport, and if it was raining as hard as it was this morning tomorrow, then, well, we'll be in for some interesting racing, to say the least. The LC40 Elite Qualifying 2 has just come to its end, so you'll be seeing them back out on track later for their race 1s. Of course, their race 2s and 3s to look forward to tomorrow. And maybe some of you need reminding that the qualifying format here, the qualifying, so it's the combined times, or rather the best time from the 2 qualifying sessions is the time that you start on the grid from, and that time determines where you start on the grid in all 3 races. So if you qualify in pole position,
then congratulations, you're on pole position for all 3 races. So it's, you know, it just adds a little bit of extra to qualifying. You know, it means you just got to give a little bit more. You know, you can't just, you know, sit and think, okay, I'll just work my way forward. You know, you want to be starting right at the front. But that will be it for the LC40 Elites until a little bit later. And as we're waiting for the sidecars to come out, Lewis, well, we're looking to have potentially quite a big shake-up to the order here. We're going to talk about no one other than Mick Williams because, you know, he's the man that we've been talking about all season long because by his standards, it's been well, honestly, it's been a bit of a terrible season. He's missed out on a few race wins. But this weekend, well, could be quite an interesting one for him. His regular passenger, Mike Elm's actually off having a baby at the moment. So obviously, congratulations to Mike and all of his family, and hope that all goes brilliantly. And hopefully see you back at the track soon as well. But obviously, that means that Mick has had to bring along someone else, essentially. He's brought along Josh Papworth, who last raced as a passenger in the Mini F1 Sidecars back in 2017, so been quite a while. And he said he's not that confident around here with the new passenger, and in the wet as well. We know that Mick Williams is not the biggest fan of wet conditions, so he could be in for a bit of an uphill battle.
Yeah, it seems like it, and we're not really going to know until we get the races underway. And this qualifying 2 session is going to be the real decider, I think, on where we're going to see where his pace is and how fast he's actually going to be able to go. Because sidecar, it's 2 riders on 1 motorcycle, and it's almost 2 minds in 1. So, yeah, you really need that faith in that passenger, because at the end of the day, he is the only person that gets you around the corner. And you can just see it's slightly different levers on the back there. Of course, Josh not being able to squeeze into the same levers as Elms, but it's still going to be a great performance, I think. McWilliams, he's such a talented rider himself that he's going to be able to use all his years of experience in Mini F1 sidecar racing to be able to try and help and develop and just get him back into the rhythm of things. But this qualifying 2 session, as I said, we're going to be able to properly see where the pace is at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's well, we haven't had any time set yet, but you know, who's going to take the Williams throne if they're not as competitive as they'd like to be? I mean, you're looking at the Green Streets, you're looking at the Glovers, so it's yeah, could be interesting. Any number of these outfits could be up there challenging for the pole, but it's all eyes on that number 26 machine because we just don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out in a minute, really, when the qualifying times start to be set. Again, it's tough, you know, as it is being a Mini F1, you know, sidecar outfit. You know, it's a very, very physical form of motorcycle racing, and especially the mini variant when it's so small, the bikes are so small, you really got to squeeze yourself on there, and you know, your passenger is, you know, you're almost combined as one almost. You got to know each other like the absolute backs of your hands, and you got to know exactly what you're going to do in the corner because the passenger matters so much to the ability in the corners. And if you've got somebody else in the sidecar with you than what you're used to, it can definitely change things up a little bit. You know, you've got to adapt to that and get used to it. And again, with the rain this morning, with the rain coming tomorrow, we know Mick Williams isn't the biggest fan of wet weather conditions, and again, it's just another factor that they have to consider coming into this.
Yeah, it certainly is, and this year in sidecars, it's probably been some of the best racing that we've seen in a long, long time. Obviously, as we've already said, McWilliams, his win streak ended a couple of rounds ago, and now it's really just trying to call back points. Currently in the sidecars, the champion, well, going into this round, the championship lead is 74 points from Green Street. So McWilliams really did have to turn up to this weekend and find a new passenger, because if, for example, the Green Streets were to turn up and McWilliams wasn't here to get all 3 race wins, it would then mean the Green Streets would be leading by 1 point, because although it's still it's a 74-point gap, all it takes is for one disaster. But right now, McWilliams at the top of this qualifying session, but it is just by 1/10 of a second over Vince Bailey. And I don't think the Green Streets are on the pace just yet, a 1:06. 4.6 seconds off, that's not where we normally see them. So I think in a couple of laps, maybe it might be slightly different because there's still 5 minutes to go in this final sidecar qualifying 2 session.
Yep, absolutely. Williams, so he's on top, but it's not by much, very, very close. And as you said, Green Street's yet to turn up the wick just yet. Yeah, Bailey's always, yeah, it looks like he's coming in actually. So yeah, the 26 machine dives into the pit lane, so maybe a problem with the bike, which wouldn't be ideal. Again, we've seen Mick having a few reliability issues this year, and of course, he actually came away from the last round with a cracked engine, actually, and he's actually running his reserve engine, which is from 2007. So it's very interesting. There's not really a lot. Can't quite tell what's going on there. Just having a quick chat, having a sit. I mean, I don't know if he just wanted to get out and get a side to lap in, or there's a problem with the bike, you know, with that reserve engine in the bike as well and a new passenger. It's not been the golden start to the weekend for Mick Williams that he would have wanted, I'm sure. But of course, there's still plenty of time to improve and get out there. There's still just under 4 minutes left in this session. So, you know, plenty of time to get out there, get going once again if there are problems. The green streets also coming in, and they look like they do have a problem because the green streets are lapping about 3-4 seconds off the pace. And, well, as you can clearly see, they're trying to fix something on the bike, so I don't know what's going on there, but potential early drama for the number 90.
Yeah, it looks like the green sheets have an issue because one of the green sheets have just ran into the paddock, full sprint, trying to find maybe a tool or a part to get the bike sorted, because the fastest lap right now is a 106.3. That puts them in 7th position, which is a very, very disappointing qualifying from them. But Vince Bailey actually has went fastest, and now fastest by 0.3 of a second over Mick Williams. So Mick Williams off that pole position, and there is Vince Bailey going round, putting in the laps. They're staying out there, just getting their head into the game. So, yeah, Mick Williams, this may be the first time he doesn't get a pole position in dry conditions, because we've seen this year how tricky it's been in wet conditions. So tomorrow, it's not looking promising for them. So they really need to get as much points as possible and as far up the grid as they can today.
Absolutely. And yeah, this is great stuff from Vince Bailey. Comes to the line now. Do they go even fast? They do go even faster. Chop another 2/10 off the time. Now on provisional pole by 5, nearly 6/10 of a second. And there is the Keats machine parked at the side, the 666. Problems for a lot of the outfits out there. I mean, we know that these sidecars are temperamental machines. They're all custom built. And, you know, they're not the most reliable things in the world with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on the clock. But, wow, yeah, that's 3 bikes now parked at the side and with potential issues. This is potentially very, very early drama here in the mini F1 sidecars.
Yeah, maybe it's just the hotter conditions that they're faced with, that it's just over that tipping point for these sidecar guys, because they run them so close to the limit. These sidecars are practically made in someone's garage by themselves. So they're all custom built, but this is a great session for Vince Bailey, and this will probably be the first ever pole position in mini F1 sidecars. As they come across the line, they're still just putting in them laps. Have pole position now by 1 second now over Mick Williams, which is something that we're not normally saying. So right now, they're on fire. They're putting in laps. They're just learning the circuit, getting their head in there, because now it's fully dry. It looks like these are going to be conditions that they're going to have during the race. So it's so important to get as much laps as you can. So hopefully green sheets can get out there, get some more laps in, as I believe they're just coming at the pit lane. So now they can just try and see what they can do, and if they can catch up to the likes of Vince Bailey or just get in front of Mick Williams. That's all they have to do this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, they need to hurry up because they only just about crossed the line on that outlap. And if they're quick, they will have the chance to get a proper lap in, but we'll have to wait and see. Vince Bailey and Amy Tilbrook as the passenger, though, currently got a second on the 26 machine. As they come to the line, they will get another lap in. There's still just under 40 seconds left to go on the clock, but missed a shift there coming down the front straight in the green streets. If they get a move on, they will get a lap in, but they need to get a move on because there's 20 seconds to go and there's still quite a lot of racetrack to get around. They are moving at quite a pace. It looks like they've got up to full speed, but I'm not sure they're going to make it. I don't think they're going to get time to get a lap. They're going to have to settle for the back of the grid, I think, because, of course, even if they jump straight out and they've fixed the bike, they've still got to let the bike come to them as well, so it won't be a good lap. 2 seconds left, 1 second left, checkered flag. The green streets are starting in P7. Oh, dear, that is not the way that they wanted to start their weekend. And with a bike that is so competitive so often, and it just goes to show how one little problem in qualifying can change absolutely everything. Now, it's maybe not the biggest alarm for them. Again, it's the sidecar grid is one of the smaller ones that we have here at FAB Racing, and we know the green streets there are probably the fastest starters on the grid. So they can definitely gain a few places away from the lights, but again, it's tight, it's twisted out. They're very, very hard to overtake in these things. Bit of a disaster for them.
Yeah, I was just having a look actually for the Q1 times, because obviously we do combine them, and Green Street's luckily got a 59.4 in Q1, so it looks like they will actually be starting in pole position, but that is not what you want in your qualifying session before you go into a race, because if there was a few issues even on that 2 laps that they got in, it may just slightly affect them in the race. So it looks like they should be starting in pole position still, but it's definitely not what you want from your Q2. You want to be able to carry that confidence in by setting lap times in Q2. But yeah, it's not what they wanted still, but McWilliams, it looks like they're going to be starting in 3rd place, so 2nd row of the grid.
Yeah, absolutely. And we obviously Mick Williams running that 2-stroke engine as well. It's a bit of a hassle to get that off the line fast. And we've seen time and time again, he actually maybe loses a few places in the opening couple of corners and kind of has to give about half a lap to get back into the groove. So it could be an interesting weekend of mini F1 sidecar action. Tell you what, though, it'll be a really interesting weekend for these guys, won't it? Senior Mini Motos out on track for their 2nd qualifying session. And well, these guys are always a blast, especially around here. You know, this is a track that really, really suits the Mini Motos. The riders of these bikes all love it here. And it's, you know, no holds barred racing, and they absolutely give each other everything they have and even more very, very often. And well, you can see that. I mean, they're just doing the outlap for qualifying, and I can see some of them trying to race each other coming down the Hanger Straight. It is just absolutely mental what these guys can get up to. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, obviously, it's not perhaps been the tightest championship that we'd have expected coming into this year of the Senior Mini Motos. Will Howarth currently with a 94-point lead over Matt Birkin in P2, and his brother Josh trailing by a further 51 down in P3. And Will Howarth has actually taken the maximum points haul from every weekend so far. He's got 2 clean sweeps, so 2 hat-tricks of victories, and then all of the other races, all of the other weekends, he's come away out on top in terms of points. And there we can see Holly Harris as well, British Talent Cup rider. She's been turning up pretty consistently this year as well, which is great to see. She's you know, putting in a good effort. She's always up there fighting for some decent positions. Sometimes she's been in the podium shout as well, which is great for her. And we heard from her earlier, of course. And again, it is interesting to see her out there, as that is some problems for some of the riders already. Again, I think the heat might be getting to them, Lewis. But you know, Holly Harris, you know, these mini motos, probably not what she's used to riding most often nowadays, being in the British Talent Cup. But it's interesting to see, you know, riders that do come back and give it a go, and just kind of, because obviously everyone starts on the mini motos, or they usually do anyway. But you know, you go off to, you know, bigger and faster things, then coming back and challenge for podiums. It really shows just, you know, how versatile these riders are.
Yeah, it certainly does, and reliability coming into an issue once again. I believe Robert Kitley and actually Josh Birkin is the 2 riders that have just had some mechanical issues right now, standing at the side of the track and having to watch the rest of this qualifying 2 session. But yeah, it's great to see more female riders get involved in FAB. As you mentioned, Holly Harris has been consistently showing up, and it's great not only to see British level riders coming back to FAB and be able to help these younger riders, obviously with the M4 Minimoto race school that's run by our mother. So yeah, it's great to see, and it's great to have such a big field here, because we were speaking to Rhys Gentry just earlier, and he walked us through all the changes that these riders have to make to these motorcycles. So yeah, Matt Birkin, though, right now it is on top. Matt Birkin, of course, brother of Josh, with that red and black levers, I believe, that he's been running the past couple of rounds. So both Birkin brothers still out in force and still out getting points. And Rhys Gentry, as I was saying there, is now on your screen coming through, and he was walking us through the fact that on these bigger bikes you have to get bigger handlebars and change your seating positions, as right now riders come down straight. Craig Ashall coming down towards the final corner. It's such a tight final corner.
Someone almost in the tyre barrier there in the background.
Yeah, such a tight final corner with tires aligned all the way down the outside. So it's somewhere we do not want to get it wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it before. Riders having a trip into the tyre barrier and then a trip into the outside wall. I think Matt Birkin actually was one of those riders who did that last year in the wet, just understeered on a little bit. And that was that. And Matt Birkin, I believe he has actually stopped down at turn 2 in the hook. And he's actually wearing his old leathers, I think, because that's or he's got new leathers in the same style, because he's back in the blue and orange, which is what I was used to seeing him wear. And he changed this year along with Josh, but he looks like he's gone back to the blue and orange leathers with the black helmet, the classic Birkin look. But he's stood there looking pretty forlorn at the moment, but I don't think he should be alarmed, because he's currently got the best time by about 1/10 of a second from his brother Josh. So pretty good from him. Reece Gentry in the 100 as well, looking down the order, as we were talking about just a moment ago, in P7, a good showing. Nick Bennett as well, the 711 in P6. We've got a few riders in some pretty strong positions here coming forward, so that is absolutely great to see. We've still got 3 minutes left of this qualifying session as well, so still plenty of time to change. And actually, I said that Matt Birkin was up by 1/10 of a second. I read it wrong. He's actually up by 8/10 of a second, so he's got quite a big gap back to Josh.
Yeah, it certainly does. As now riders are just getting their final couple of laps, and Reece Gentry, well, Reece Gentry, it was so helpful of him to explain what they have to do to these motorcycles and how they fit onto them, because if you ever watch mini motor racing, it's hard racing, and you have some front runners that are always there, as we mentioned. Reece Gentry is, of course, one of them. Matt and Josh Birkins, Holly Harris, and Nick Bennett, and we've seen quite a few new riders coming this year to the senior mini motor class, and the class is constantly growing. And constantly, well, races getting constantly better and better, although the championship isn't the closest, as you've already mentioned, Ross. Every single round, we have an excellent battle. I mean, at Wilton Mill, with the tricky conditions, we've seen a great battle up front for the whole race, which went down right to the final corner at the final lap.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is tight stuff out there for these senior mini motos. As we look down, Holly Harris now been demoted to P4 by Craig Ashell, but P4, that's good for her. She always runs quite well here at Llandow, and I'm pretty certain she's a big fan of the circuit as well. As you see there, more issues for some of the riders, and I'm starting to wonder again. These mini motos, like the mini F1 sidecars, a little bit temperamental at the best of times with the reliability, but I'm starting to wonder if this heat is just causing a few problems, because it is really quite warm out there. Even with the nice breeze that we've got going. You're running these engines at super long revs, especially down that back straight. It's a long straight down the hanger straight there at the back of the track, and the big dive into the hairpin. You're banging up the revs, so it's probably not the most fun thing for the engine to go through in the world. I think it's safe to say. Someone running very wide there through the hook early on in the lap. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, as we've got a minute left to go on the clock. And the man on provisional pole, Matt Birkin, currently looks like, and actually, I think Matt Birkin's actually demoted Josh Birkin, maybe? I'm getting the two of them confused, but it's Matt Birkin sat on provisional pole. Josh Birkin's currently sat in P2 at 8/10 adrift. Craig Ashell, a further 4/10 back from him. Can any of them continue onwards? As you see there, one of the riders, that does look like Matt Birkin there, does it not? Maybe? I can't quite tell under the helmet, but who knows? There's a lot of riders stood at the side of the racetrack, and no one really knows what's going on, but that does look like Matt Birkin is having a tough day. But with 12 seconds left on the clock, can anyone improve? As we have a look, and that is Matt Birkin sat on at the side of the track. So can he hold on to that pole position as the checkered flag comes out now? Can anybody pip the Birkin boys to P1 and 2 and locking out that front row of the grid? Mark Payne can only manage 9th as he crosses the line, but a pretty solid lap nonetheless, with his best time of 56.4. That last lap there was a 108, so I think he was having a few issues out there as well. And I'll tell you what, it actually looks like a few of the riders have actually dived into the pits, because there's significantly less bikes out on track than we had at the start of the session.
Yeah, reliability also becoming a slight issue, but Josh and Matt Birkin actually stopping at the side of the track, having a little chat, and that's Josh on his... And there's the number 2 bike of Josh Birkin. But yeah, so it was a great qualifying, and Q1 for these guys was interrupted by the rain. At one point, actually, Holly Harris was the only rider that was brave enough to go out on track, but eventually she had to give in as well because conditions were getting so bad. So it's great now that riders have finally had the shot in what is great track conditions that we have here at Llandow now. I mean, it looks like it's going to be for the rest of the afternoon. You can see some of the younger riders now having a chat with the senior mini moto guys, finding out maybe what was the issue with the bike and what the track is like itself. But next, well, yeah, so we're just waiting for the final couple of bikes to head in to the pit lane, and then we can get started with another couple more qualifying sessions before we get into the first races of the weekend.
Absolutely. Still a few more qualifying sessions left to go. And as we can see down there, you see the rather forlorn walk of Matt Birkin as he gives a wave to the camera. And he is back in his old leathers, so the Birkins are now in different leathers, which makes, frankly, even harder, because when they switched to the new leathers, at least they were both in the same thing again. But Matt's decided to go back to the classic orange and blue look. He'll be, well, he was fastest in that session. We'll get it confirmed for you where he's going off of in the races in a short moment's time after the qualifyings have been combined. But it's time then to get ready for the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship, qualifying to the top junior class that we run here at FAB-Racing. And, well, again, a pretty tightly contested championship for the most part. Ethan Sparks started to pull away a little bit, and we know this is a circuit he likes. Great memories here, of course, wrapping up that championship in the tiebreaker in the finale here in 2021. He'll be looking to continue his good run of form and coming off the pole, or try and come off the pole position. But of course, you know, there's some fierce competition out there in this class. It's looking tighter than ever, and you know, there's some really, really fast young riders out there, and it's going to be interesting to see how they cope with this tricky Llandow circuit.
Yeah, whenever they're here for round 2 for the Mini GP70s, it was like a Moto3 race. There was groups of 6, 7, 8 bikes all in one and all fighting it out to the death basically in the race. But you see Ruben Bray now under some pressure straight away from Samuel Munson. So Samuel Munson wanting to get on, not wanting any rider in his way in this qualifying session, just wants to get laps in early, because you don't know what's going to happen with the track, what's going to happen with the weather, and maybe there might even be a red flag, so it's just getting early laps in. And you can see Noah Gilray there also racing in the Extreme 200s this weekend on that Mini GP70, so he's getting a lot of track time on that bike this round. But the championship leader, all talk is on Ethan Sparks. He's looked so good this year in the Vision Track outfit, and it's looking like it's going to be a strong weekend once again for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Vision Track putting in a big investment here into FAB-Racing. They really believe in their squad of young riders, and well, so far Ethan Sparks is delivering. As we spoke to Jazz Mortimer earlier, the man running the Vision Track team here in FAB-Racing. You know, he's really passionate about the project that they've got going here. Really passionate about what they can achieve with these young riders and how they can develop them going forward on to the British Talent Cup and beyond. Of course, FAB-Racing is it's the place to be if you want to get into the British Talent Cup. FAB-Racing was actually awarded the Road to MotoGP accolade by Dorna back in 2019. Because since that year, every single season, over 60% of the British Talent Cup field have come from FAB-Racing, which is just a brilliant statistic, and just shows as Ethan Sparks diving to the inside of some other riders there. He is absolutely flying at the moment, but it is currently Henry McCartney actually sitting on the provisional pole. But you know, it's just a great statistic to see. And of course, if you're new to FAB-Racing, we are the official partner series to the Bennett's British Superbike Championship, and as I mentioned, part of Dorna's Road to MotoGP. We've been around since 2004 and just been providing opportunities for young riders to start their motorcycle careers, and for perhaps older riders to come and have a bit of fun and a weekend away. And we've had many a young superstar come from this very championship, the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. You know, we've got Scott Redding, Scott Ogden, Danny Kent over in MotoGP. We've also had riders go on to WSBK. We've had riders go on to British Superbikes. I mean, again, it feels like half the Extreme 200s and Pit Bike 140 guys are all part of the BSB Paddock at this point as well. And you know, another thing to remember is this year we've got 2 riders in the Red Bull Rookies Cup who've come from FAB-Racing in this championship. We've got Eddie O'Shea and Casey O'Gorman, and other riders who've been there as well. You've got Johnny Garness, who's currently dominating the British Talent Cup, I think, so say again, another FAB graduate. So this really is the place to be for young riders to come and develop their skills. And looks like we've had an accident down at turn 1 there. I can't quite see who that is. Yeah, it is Ruben Bray. He's just come down, coming out of the hook. It is a tricky little section down there in turn 1. You're turning quite aggressively in on the brakes, and you've got to flip the bike over a little bit on camber as well. The tarmac's quite rough, so quite easy to just overstep your marks a little bit, but his back on the bike all seems to be okay. So hopefully he can get going again and start putting in the times. And on the subject of the times, it's Ethan Sparks, who's currently 9/10 up on anybody else at the moment.
Yeah, Ethan Sparks is looking so strong as Ollie Sims comes down the back straight. But yeah, it just looks like Ruben Bray crashed just as you flip it over to the right side of the tyre. So maybe just a slight bit of cold tyre, maybe just a bit too much throttle. Who knows? But Ethan Sparks right now, he comes into the pit lane actually, and maybe just taking a small little breather, maybe needing to have a quick word with someone, or he's just wanting a better track position as Luke Fitchett, dominant in the Mini GP 50 so far this year, and now he's wanting to try and recreate something similar in the 70s. But Ronnie Harris as well, a part of the Vision Track team, teammate of Ethan Sparks, was leading the championship earlier on in the season. It's going to have a wild card in the British Talent Cup later on this season. At Snetterton, I believe, so it's gonna be great to see more Fab riders in the British Championship finally get an opportunity to show themselves at national level. But Ethan Sparks looks to have returned to the track. It looked like Ethan Sparks actually went into the pit lane and straight away went back out. So maybe he just went too deep and didn't want to try and risk it and turn in and lose in the front and just wanted just to go into pit lane, but gets past Harry Payne, who of course Harry Payne had quite a big accident he went over last year at round 2 at Llandow, and well, it's great to see, and it's so brave that he's backing the bike at the circuit.
Absolutely. We spoke to Harry earlier. Of course, if you're not aware, Harry had a huge accident, had a brake failure coming down the hanger straight down the back stretch. And well, having that into a tight hairpin with not a lot of runoff is not ideal. Got knocked unconscious, airlifted into hospital, woke up a fair few hours later with concussion. Still went into school the next week to sit some school exams, so kudos to him for that. But to get back on the bike after experiencing something like that at the track, it is super brave. And that is Ethan Sparks. I've just seen out of the commentary box window coming into the pits again. I tell you what, I wonder if he's trying to. No, it's Ronnie Harris. Apologies, he's coming. Too many Vision Track deliveries. I'm telling you, I think some of them actually are almost trying to wait for gaps in the in the traffic, because they all seem to be grouping together at the moment as Ethan Sparks goes even faster, a 46.9. That is ridiculously fast.
Yeah, straight on the pace, straight away. And yeah, it just looks like they're trying to find gaps in the road, while some other riders, such as Noah Gilroy, took it as an opportunity to also go into the pit lane, and maybe it's just looking for a slight toe in this qualifying session, someone to chase and follow. But, of course, one man who is not here this round is Marco Holt, because he's out there in Spain with Joshua Williams, racing in the Moto4 Championship, so we sadly missed this round, such as even Archie O'Brien, who was riding a 70 yesterday in practice, but is not racing it this weekend, it doesn't seem, but he's going to miss his sparring partner this weekend. So Marco Holt, he will be sadly missed, but I'm sure he'll be watching from Spain and be supporting all his friends and all his championship rivals at home. So Marco, if you're listening, we can't wait to have you back next round at Rowra. But right now it is everyone's chance to try and take advantage of that and get as many points as possible, as there's just 20 seconds left in this qualifying session, and Ethan Sparks leads the way by 0.7 of a second. He comes down the back straight right now, and he gets it tipped into the final corner, just tries to keep it nice and steady, runs slightly wide on the exit of the corner. He comes across the timing beam. Will it be a better lap? No, it will not, but consistently in the 47 seconds, the checker flag is waving now. Can anyone do anything at this point? Henry McCartney is the closest man to Ethan Sparks, but Ethan Sparks has been looking on rails all weekend and all year actually. But Samuel Munson betters his time with a 47.9, currently in third position right now on that 72 bike. But right now it's just getting the laps in, and there is the man. He's on his final qualifying lap of this session and of this weekend. Before we get into the races, this is also the last qualifying session of the weekend. So now coming down the back straight, Samuel Munson is currently backed out of his lap. He's not came across the checker flag. So coming around the final corner, it's Ethan Sparks. Will he be able to better his time? Let's wait and find out. Fully tucked in, comes across the line, and no, he cannot. A 48.3. Still great race pace, but he just didn't have anything left for the final lap.
Well, I mean, obviously, qualifying times don't count towards the lap record, but Ethan Sparks has just smashed his own lap record by about 0.6 of a second. He set that at the finale in 2021, that championship decider, which he came away victorious. So Ethan Sparks looking right at home here in South Wales. And, of course, we'll be looking forward to the action later on. But that is the final qualifying 2 of the day. The qualifying is done. It's time to go racing. And, well, we've got all of the race 1s to look forward to today. And then, of course, the race 2s and 3s tomorrow. So plenty of racing action to bring you this weekend from Llandow. But let's get going, shall we? So then, the pit bike 140s. What a class to get us started here at the South Wales Karting Centre. And, well, these guys here are just absolutely phenomenal. And it's not the biggest pit bike 140 grid we've seen so far this season. Only 19 riders actually making an appearance. But, you know, they are phenomenal at the best of times. And just round here, it is neck and neck. Absolutely nothing to separate them. And there is a massive crowd forming down here over in the paddock area. And then just on the other side as well, you can see some family members, some friends, some riders watching along as well. Or it seems like staring on her phone. But great to see everyone watching along. Anyway, that's Bailey Lawrence, the sister even, of Taylor Lawrence, who we'll talk about in a minute, because, of course, a man who I think we need to say goodbye to properly. But as we get ready to head onto the grid there, you can see Rossi Bannon, who starts from the pole position once again, the championship leader, getting ready to kick things off here at Llandow. And, well, he's looking absolutely ferocious this weekend. That bike is so fast, and he is so talented on the machine. And I'm sure he's looking for another couple wins to add to his belt.
Yeah, so now we're just waiting for the riders to come out to the grid. And then they will go and do one green flag lap, and then we'll start the race and get underway for the first race of the weekend. First race for these Pit Bike 140 guys, and it's always great racing, as you said. It's such a big field. Although there's 19 bikes, it's still a very respectable number, considering we are in Wales, and it's quite a busy weekend for motorcycle racing. So right now, they're just waiting, getting ready. A little wave from some of the riders. Samuel Munson, who's just been out in the 70s, is now racing in the Pit Bike 140s. So it's a busy time for him. 2 races back-to-back he'll have this weekend. But Rob at the front of the grid right now with that red flag before we can get underway for the green flag lap, and then get underway for the first race of the weekend. So everyone here at Llandow is very excited.
Oh, absolutely. It's Rossi Bannon who starts from the pole position. Lucas Brown goes off alongside him. Taylor Lawrence in his final FAB-Racing event. He starts P3, the reigning champion in this class, with the Reese Peacock alongside him. Samuel Munson is P5 with Liam Wood in P6. Nathan Riggy and 3-time champion Jay King, they go off the 4th row, with Chris Wells and Cameron Sewell rounding out the top 10. They're followed by Zach Truan and Sean Whittaker, with Elliot Crosby in 13th and Chadley Whiting in 14th. Simon Gates is 15th with Thomas Dudson in P16. And then it's Johnny Brook, Powell Nozel and Keaton Payne rounding out the grid for this first Pit Bike 140 race. And boy, oh boy, are we excited to go racing here in Llandow. It's always such a spectacle to go racing here in Wales, and it is always such a spectacle to watch these Pit Bike 140 guys out there. Last minute checks for Rossi Bannon, pops a little wheelie coming down the back straight away. Just wants to be nice and chill. Is that a paramedic, I believe, that's waving everybody round for some reason? I'm not too sure what's going on there. He's just pointing at them for some reason. But of course, appreciate it nonetheless. It's great to have, of course, the paramedics and the marshals doing a great job. Here we go then, as we get ready for the lights. A few conversations between the flag marshal and the pole sitter, Rossi Bannon, as we get ready to go racing this weekend in South Wales. And what a class to kick us off. As we get ready, it is red lights on. Red lights off, we're underway. It's a great start from Rossi Bannon from the pole position. Lucas Brown doesn't get away quite as well. Taylor Lawrence follows Rossi Bannon through into P2 in the hook. So a great start there from the reigning champion. Oh, there's chaos in the background. We've got one rider down, a few of them off the road as well. But it will be Rossi Bannon that leads the way on this opening lap. But Taylor Lawrence, what a start there for the reigning champion. And well, This time last year, when we were at the Fab finale in Llandow, those two had an almighty battle in race 2. Oh, what a treat if we get a repeat of that. But Rossi has been absolutely phenomenal this season, but we know that Taylor Lawrence loves this track, and already the gap is closing as they head onto the back straight for the first time. Banham from Lawrence, from Lucas Brown is your top three. Already Taylor Lawrence having a look to the inside. He's going to fight this one all the way.
Yeah, we've seen it in round 2. It was exactly like this. It was wheel to wheel, it was elbow to elbow, and Taylor Lawrence is looking on it. He's wanting one final hurrah, and you can just see how extreme the riding styles are on these Pit Bike 140 bikes. They're using slick tyres, so whenever it's got these hot conditions, they really stick good to the track, and you have a lot of grip, so you can be able to get these lean angle, get in the throttle so early, and there's so much talent in this field. There's Lucas Brown right now battling with Reece Peacock. Reece Peacock up into that 3rd position, up into that important podium position, and trying to claw back the 2 race leaders, Rossi Banham and Taylor Lawrence, to come through the back chicane with Samuel Munson actually on their tail. So Samuel Munson, he's got his eye in the door in the mid-GP 70s, and now he's back on it straight away in the Pit Bike 140s. You can just see how smaller actually he is compared to the likes of Lucas Brown, who races in the British Talent Cup, as he come across the line now to make it just 10 laps to go in this race. This race is going to come fast, but it's going to come thick because there's me and it's Taylor Lawrence actually down at the 2nd corner there at this chicane. So Taylor Lawrence trying to get the bike restarted, he has, and he's trying to get returned safely, and you can just see how disappointed he is in himself. Rossi Banham now is out front by himself. There's another rider down the back shot, and straight on their feet. Samuel Munson runs out the way, gets straight back up, tries to get restarted. Chaos in the Pit Bike 140 class.
So one rider who will be smiling under his helmet is Rossi Banham. On that last lap, the 2nd lap of the race, a new lap record for Rossi Banham of 49.154. 2 laps of racing and he's already smashed it. Unbelievable pace. Coming to the line now. Does he go faster? Not this time. And, well, that is ridiculous pace. But what a shame there for Taylor Lawrence, dropping almost to the back. Of course, Taylor, the reigning Pit Bike 140s champion, off to join the RAF after this round. And, you know, it's been a real pleasure being able to watch him fight, and I'm sure he's going to give it all that he can this weekend. And it's been a real pleasure. So, obviously, a thank you to Taylor Lawrence for all that he has given us here in Fab Racing. As we can see, further back in the pack, some action going on as well. This is the fight for P4 with Charlie Nesbitt trying to fight his way through. He's got a really good start. He's properly shot forward, I believe. So that is good to see for him. But yeah, it's just been a chaotic opening few laps. Absolutely anybody is anywhere. Liam Wood, Nesbitt fighting for that 4th place as they come down the hanger straight. Oh, a big dive by there. Wow, was that? I wanted to say that was Jay King, but I wasn't quite sure. I think it was actually Chris Wells maybe going through. No, it was Jamie King who was diving back through on Chris Wells. They must have swapped places earlier in the lap. That was a huge move into the final corner.
Yeah, it was, and you can just see now how close this action is. And Taylor Lawrence looks like he's just got to get some points in this race. He's up into what is 12th position, I believe. So Taylor Lawrence now in his bright green levers just has to get points on the board, use his head, and not get too flustered by his mistake, because there's 2 more races this weekend. All classes get 3 races here at Fab. But yeah, it's great to see such as Charlie Nesbitt battling up in the 4th position, because he's once again another British Championship rider who's here at Fab, and there's a battle going on right now, and that looks like he's just managed to get past the final corner. Jamie King gets past and now has to push on. He has to try and find something for that 5th position and just try and hold on to that 5th position. Jamie King, new bike this weekend, different levers this weekend, because his bike, he's been on issues all season with the engine, and the riders down there actually. This Pit Bike 140 class, there's been a lot of mistakes, a lot of crashes. Maybe just some hotter conditions and the wet conditions we had previous. Maybe just some slight bits of the track which have maybe bumps or slight little holes that may have a bit of water. Who knows? But one man right now who is dominant up front is Rossi Banham. Is right now Lucas Brown dives down the inside, but straight away on the cutback it is Reece Peacock side by side, and Reece Peacock manages to hold that position on that number 29 bike. And Reece Peacock starting from that 4th position, he wants that podium, but Lucas Brown, he's trying everything. You can just see how committed how committed he is, and you can always see this with the British Talent Cup riders and with the British Championship riders of how much confidence they have in their motorcycles and in their tyres.
Oh, they push them like there's no tomorrow. It is really unbelievable. If you get the chance to come to a FAB Racing event, please do come and watch. You can just see for yourself, because the camera just doesn't do it justice, how committed, the lean these guys are getting through the corner, the speed that they're carrying through the corner is just unreal. And that there, Rossi Banham, another fastest lap, this time of 49.149, so marginally faster, but another lap record there for Rossi Banham. He is operating in a different universe at the moment. He's 8.5 seconds up on Reese Peacock and Lucas Brown in P2. Probably doesn't help that these two are fighting. They're really giving it a go at each other. And, you know, obviously when you're fighting with each other, you lose time to the guy in front. But Rossi is just absolutely flying at the moment. Taylor Lawrence back up into P8 as well, so he's continued his move, but he's got a bit of a no man's land that he's in at the moment. A few seconds to make up to get up to Nathan Riggy, but there's still 5 laps left to go in this opening race of the weekend. Still plenty of time for things to go right, things to go wrong, so to speak. But as these guys continue battling for the final podium place, and I tell you what, Charlie Nesbitt, while they've been fighting, is closing in. Lucas Brown looks to the inside once again, but can't quite get on the brakes ain't enough. Oh, but would you look at that, Reese Peacock's going to negotiate the traffic in quite an awkward place, and looks like they're going to go into turn 1 as they were. But again, while they're fighting, Lewis, they're losing time to Rossi Banham. He goes even faster at 49.045. Come on, Rossi, calm down. But while they're fighting, they're losing time to Rossi, and they're losing time to Charlie Nesbitt as well. He's got to be on the back of them in a few laps' time.
Yeah, it sort of seems like it, and it's so difficult when you're on the bike, because you always think you're faster than everyone around you. So both Reese Peacock and Lucas Brown right now will be thinking that they're faster than each other and that the other person's actually holding them up. But Rossi Banham right now backing it in to the final corner as he shoots out, heads to the line. Will this be another fastest lap? No, it will not this time round, but it's still a 49.2, which heading into this race would have almost been a lap record in itself. So it's so fast, the lap times that Rossi Banham's doing. It's so consistent. Although he's got nobody on his tail right now, he's treating this almost as a time trial. Though he doesn't have to do this, to be honest. Rossi Banham only has one mode, and that's full attack with 3 laps to go.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the junior superstock rider, anybody else would be thinking, I've got a huge lead. Let's just sit back, relax, save myself, save the bike, not risk it, just bring it home, and then we can focus on race 2 and race 3. But Rossi Banham is just attack. There is no other option for this man, and he is absolutely flying along, and we are absolutely loving it here. Again, just backing it into the final corner. Comes to the line, doesn't go even faster this time. Yes, he does. It's a 48. A 48.982. The first time we've seen a 48 at Llandow in the pit bike 140s. I'm just lost for words. It is unbelievably fast. Oh, and there's a lot of action going on behind as well. The 62 on the inside of the 444. Those guys trying to fight their way through. They're a little bit further down at the back of the pack. And actually some bikes trying to get different lap traffic. Actually, it looked like Lucas Brown, I think, has had a bit of an incident, because Reese Peacock is now P2. Charlie Nesbitt's now gone through into P3, and I'm not sure if Charlie Nesbitt's caught up to the back of them or Lucas Brown's gone down, because it doesn't seem that far off them. So I think I was right earlier. All that fighting that Peacock and Brown were doing is just allow Charlie Nesbitt to slide right into the podium places. So that 2-way battle for the podium is now a 3-way battle, as Rossi Banham will very shortly come on to his last lap. He may have started his last lap. Yes, he has. He set another fast lap as well, a 48.893. I just can't. Every single time he's out on track, he just keeps going, and he's got one more try to try and smash his own lap record again. He's already put like 5/10 in it. Why not add another one? Rossi Banham, this is what brilliance looks like. This is what domination looks like. Of course, it was unfortunate that Taylor Lawrence went down a little bit earlier on, but as he goes onto the hanger straight for the final time, a quick glance to the left to check where the other riders are. This has been an absolute unbelievable display by the man who's going to take a fantastic victory. Rossi Banham dominates in race 1 of the Pit Bike 140s. A shake of the head. He knew that was good. It was another fastest lap on the final lap as well. A 48.893. That's about 20 new lap records he set in one race. That is possibly the best performance for all season from Rossi Banham. Unreal stuff from the championship leader.
Yeah, he didn't have to do any of that, but he did, and now he pulls a wheelie and celebrates what was a dominant race victory. Rossi Banham takes the race lead. Charlie Nesbitt actually pips that second position, and Reese Peacock coming home in third place. So very, very respectable result, but Rossi Banham, dominant performance, 13.7 second win at the line, and you can just see how happy he is. Although he's won many, many races this season, he's enjoying it as much as ever, and you can just see how much this means to him. But Rossi Banham taking that race win, comes back into pit lane now and back towards the Paddock to celebrate with his friends and family.
Oh, I mean, Rossi Banham had an 110-point lead coming into this weekend. He swept the last 4 weekends in a row. Absolutely dominant from Rossi Banham. He takes the victory in race 1. With Nesbitt coming along in P2. Lucas Brown was in P3. Unfortunately, Reese Peacock dropped to P4 there right at the end. Then it was Chris Wells in P5. Jay King managed to hold on to P6 on that new bike. Riggy was in P7 with Taylor Lawrence managing to fight back to P8. A great performance from him to get back up there after falling early, with Wood and Sewell rounding out your top 10. Wow, what a way to kick off the weekend's action here in Llandow for the 6th round of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship. I mean, Rossi Banham, talk about domination, talk about drama and chaos through the field. I mean, it just about sums up a pit bike 140 race in general, doesn't it? Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was exactly what we expected to come. It was wheel-to-wheel action all the way down the field, but Rossi Banham showing his class and showing his true skill, and it looks like tomorrow Taylor Lawrence, he has the pace to be near Rossi Banham and definitely in that second position and battling near that top position. So maybe if he could just stay on the bike and not get flustered and not having to be forced into a mistake by Rossi Banham, it could be a completely different result tomorrow. So yeah, it was a great race and another 2 races, but of course they will come tomorrow. And now we have the first mini motor race of the day coming up. And that, of course, will be the Minimoto AC40 Pro Race 1. This is race 1 of Llandow, second race of the weekend altogether. So these riders are still completely fresh. So they're just heading to the grid now before they'll get underway on a green flag lap. So all the riders now just getting focused, getting their head into the zone on what is a completely bone dry circuit here at Llandow.
Absolutely, and well, we can't talk about the AC40 Pros without talking about the man sat on pole position. It is, of course, none other than Byron Johnson, who's been the dominant force this season, taking 2 sweeps. That's 3 wins in the weekend in round 2 and round 3. 110-point lead over Sam Gardner in P2 as well. He has been flying all year long. But it's, you know, a bit too early to call yet. The race hasn't even started yet. And of course, he's surrounded by some stiff competition. Sam Gardner alongside with Matthew Thomas and Harrison Day close behind as well as we get going on the formation lap. It will be Byron Johnson from the pole position with Sam Gardner in P2. Matthew Thomas starts in 3rd with Harrison Day in 4th. Oliver Hall, the AC40 Rookies champion from last year, he's P5. A good qualifying for him with Lewis Hull alongside at P6. They're followed by Jensen Bishop and Dylan Torian. Callum Maxwell and George Ackerman round out the top 10, and then Chloe Sewell starts just behind them. Hello and welcome if you're just joining us for the action here at round 6 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championship at the South Wales Karting Centre, the Llandow Kart Circuit. And we've got a very interesting race to look forward to here. A lot of quick riders at this Llandow track. It's a track that is a real firm favourite here in the FAB paddock. And, well, some riders who have put in some very strong performances. Oliver Hall, I think that's possibly his best qualifying all year off the top of my mind. He could be one to watch coming into this race. Of course, get your predictions in. Make sure you're talking on social media with the hashtag FAB-Racing. And if you haven't already, please do make sure you've liked, shared, subscribed, and followed on all of the streams, be it on the FAB-Racing or Motorsport Radio channels. It is really appreciated. And it is a great pleasure to bring you all of the action here from the South Wales Karting Centre as we get ready to go racing once again here, Lewis.
Yeah, final riders are coming up on the grid session. Final checks are being done on the grid, and now Harrison Day with his dad Josh is just getting off the grid now. We'll wait for the point to the lights. Point to the lights is made by Rob. We wait for the lights to come on. Lights are on and lights are off, and we are racing in the AC40 Pros, and Sam Gardner gets a very, very good launch and takes the lead into turn 1, but no, he does not actually. It's going to be Byron Johnson
who manages to brave it out, round the outside into turn 1 and take back the lead and take back that valuable track position. But it looks like Sam Gardner straight away, it was very, very racy, and he's just trying to tag onto the back of Byron Johnson and will not want him to get into a rhythm. It's further back. Matthew Thomas dives down the inside, it looked like, from Harrison Day for that 3rd position and that vital podium position. But up front, it's Byron Johnson who leads the way. Of course, Byron, his brother Austin, races in the LC40 Elite class as Jensen Bishop and a couple other riders. And Dylan Tureen comes through the back section of the circuit. It's such a great circuit here at Llandow. You can just see how tight this final corner is with Harrison Day coming through. Lewis Hull got pole position earlier on in the year, but has a massive straight line deficit he's had to try and make up in the corners. So he's had to push so hard, which is, well, it's really made us see some shapes from his bike and some pretty weird shapes. And now it looks like he's trying to dive down the inside, trying to find any way past Matthew Thomas on the 128 bright green bike. But right now up front, it's Byron Johnson who leads the way.
It is absolutely, this is very, very close between the pair of them. Oh, trying to slam the door up the inside there, but couldn't quite close it completely. But he's managed to hold on to the position of Harrison Day, so it's a good effort nonetheless with Matthew Thomas in tow. Well, if they're going to keep going like this, run along for Lewis Hull tries to get involved as through those slides. Matthew Thomas, very nice move there, getting the drive out of the corner onto the back straight and diving through. And well, here comes Lewis Hull now as well. Lewis is he's had a bit of an interesting weekend. Fell off his bicycle on the circuit on Thursday night and may have slightly smashed his face in a bit. Which could, well, I thought that might actually be affecting his confidence a little bit coming into this weekend. You know, you're falling off a push bike, let alone a mini moto, but he's coming in and he's looking like he's on form today, looking like he's got the pace, and he's closing in on Harrison Day. And trying to see if he can find a way through as Matthew Thomas seemingly departs off into the distance. It is still Byron Johnson leading the way with Sam Gardner in P2. Lewis Hull, of course, is a lot older than many of the other pro riders that we have in this grid, who's got a much bigger frame, which of course can be quite detrimental on such a small bike which weighs so little, but he still pushes like absolute craziness out there. And you can see here tucking in to try and get the slipstream down the back stretch. He's not going to be close enough for a move this time with 6 laps left to go on the clock, but he is getting a move on, closing in on Harrison Day. Harrison maybe having to start glancing behind every now and then, maybe having to start defending against Hull, who is really pushing on. Oh, and Hull almost diving to the inside there. Wow, that could have been a huge move. I think Harrison Day just shut the door at the final minute. But, well, Lewis Hull looking to make that move, but can't quite make the gap appear so far.
Yeah, under pressure right now is also Oliver Hull from Jensen Bishop for that battle for that 6th position that's going on. So this battle's all the way down the field right now as Matthew Thomas is in that 3rd place and in a valuable 3rd place on the 128 bike. And it looks like actually Harrison Day is still under pressure from Lewis Hull. But going down this back straight, it's going to be a race leader heading into the final corner after it. Byron Johnson leads the way, fastest lap of the race with a 53.9 so far. And he's currently looking so dominant. We've seen this many times this year. Once he gets into a rhythm, he's almost unstoppable, is Byron Johnson. So Sam Gardner now 2.1 seconds back, but 5 laps to go in this race. Anything can happen here at FAB. It's so unpredictable, but Lewis Hull, as we mentioned, he has a slightly bigger frame, so whenever they're coming around these corners and this faster part of the circuit, it can be so much more difficult to get yourself turned in and get your body tucked in during the straight. So you can see now race leader coming through the back chicane before we head on to the back straight and then come round to make it just 4 laps to go. But you can see tucking every single inch of his body in as much as possible, because although even these smaller riders, it's so difficult to get aerodynamic on these bikes. You can see Matthew Thomas even struggling there, and he's not the tallest rider, but Harrison Day still under pressure from Lewis Hull. And now it actually looks like, with all this battling that's been going on, Oliver Hull is catching up to Lewis Hull. So Lewis Hull might start thinking about defending soon in just a couple of laps time, because Oliver Hull, last year's rookie champion, is looking very racy right now. Now it's time. Oh, Lewis Hull's crashed out of this race. He's tucked the front coming out of the corner, just maybe took that weight off the front tire. So now he's frustrated with himself. He's managed to get back on the bike, keep it going, and now he's back on track, but now that's dropped him down to 6th position, I believe. So he's not lost too much possessions, but it's not what he's going to be wanting.
Yeah, that is a big shame there for Lewis Hull. Just shows how easy it is. Just make one little mistake and down you go. Luckily he was back on pretty much as fast as he could, so got away pretty well, but he's definitely dropped behind Oliver Hall, and I worry if he's dropped behind Jensen Bishop as well. I'll have to wait and see as they come round. But yeah, that is a shame for Lewis Hull there. He was running very well, but you know, that unfortunately, that's racing sometimes. You've got to make mistakes, you're going to have accidents, but it's all part of the learning process for these young riders. You know, this is, you know, of course, the AC40 Pros, it's the step up from the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup, and this is really where the racing starts to get serious. And as they see heading down the back stretch, some of the riders further back in the pack having a bit of a battle coming into the final hairpin. Holding the lead there in this fight for the time being, but the 111 giving it a good go nonetheless. Of course, Dylan Torian and Callum Maxwell currently fighting for P8 and P9 out on the road. 3 laps left to go though, shortly going to be 2, as Byron Johnson continues to scythe his way through this Llandow kart circuit. And it's been a very impressive performance so far from him. But these guys further back in the pack as well, they're still fighting for every single point. Because even for these young riders out there, you know, when this is still they're very much in the developing stage of their career, they're still honing in the fundamentals of motorcycle racing. They're still out there, they're giving it their all. They want the points, they want the positions, they want to win. And that is what is so great about the younger riders here at FAB-Racing. You get to watch these young guys go out on track as they you know, and they develop and they progress, but there's so much hunger, so much desire to learn and to be quick, and it is brilliant to see. And there is always action no matter where you're looking on the track, always battles no matter where they're running in the field. And Byron Johnson is perhaps the only rider out there who's not having a battle at the moment. He is got a pretty dominant lead over Sam Gardner at the moment, a few seconds up the road. He'll be starting, and actually Samuel as well, in a few moments, the last lap of the race. As well, Byron Johnson, it's been a brilliant performance from him once again. We've seen it time and time again this year, Lewis, and it's been a brilliant ride. But of course, you know, he had to work from it, almost lost the lead off the start. And we've seen before with Byron Johnson, he's got to find and set into that rhythm. If that happens, you know, it sometimes just disrupts him finding that groove a little bit. But luckily for him, he was able just to slip back to the inside of Sam Gardner. And well, now we can see he's a little bit up the road.
Yeah, he's a little bit up the road. It's 3.6 seconds up the road the last time round, but this will be the last time that he has to come round here at race speed today. So Byron Johnson, and it looks like the 128 of Matthew Thomas actually in 3rd place has crashed in the last lap. And there is 4th place Harrison Day coming to overtake him. So Matthew Thomas has tipped off in the last lap, but there's your race leader coming around the final corner on the final lap. Byron Johnson takes the checker flag and takes the first race win of the weekend. And that was such a dominant performance from him. Sam Gardner 4.2 seconds back, and it should be Matthew Thomas actually on the 128 bright lime green bike that should take that 3rd off of course the man who just Harrison Day, who should stay at 3rd place, off the man who just crashed. So Harrison Day coming across the line now up into that 3rd position. So Matthew Thomas, where will that crash put him? Has he managed to hold on to a decent position for him? And now riders just coming across the line. Finishing this race is Matthew Thomas. Comes home in that 4th position with Oliver Hall just behind him. So Oliver Hall starting in 5th and finishing in 5th. So it's exactly what he was wanting, really. I mean, you can't ask for too much more than that. So great battle all the way downfield. Dylan Torian getting the better of Callum Maxwell at the line there for that 8th. But once again, it was a very, very dominant performance by Byron Johnson. A 4.2 second race win from Sam Gardner. Harrison Day comes home in that final podium position with Matthew Thomas in 4th. Oliver Hall comes home in 5th. Jensen Bishop 6th. Lewis Hull 7th. Dylan Torian 8th. Callum Maxwell 9th. And George Ackerman comes home, rounding out that top 10 and rounding out what was race 1 of the AC40 Pros.
Yeah, very entertaining race there, and great to see the young riders getting out there and enjoying the sun while it lasts, because obviously coming into tomorrow, oh dear, it's going to be a little bit slippery out on track, to put it mildly. The rain is coming, and it is not going to stop for all day by the looks of things. But a really enjoyable race there in the AC40 Pros, and of course, despite the rain, I'm sure they'll still put on a fantastic display for us tomorrow in race 2 and 3. Well then, we get ready for the Extreme 200s Race 1, the open pit bike class as it sometimes gets called by the riders. And unfortunately, it's not the biggest grid that we've seen in the Extreme 200s. It's only got 8 riders lining up on this grid, but my oh my, it is a very, very strong grid indeed. And well, again, the Extreme 200s have been a really enjoyable class to watch so far this season. And I'm sure they're going to provide the goods once again here at Llandow, the South Wales Karting Centre, which we visit for round 6 of the FAB-Racing Mini Bike British Championships, the second time we visited this season. And as the riders make their way onto the grid, you can see a whole host of big names up on the British Talent Cup. And, you know, names familiar to the grid, names who have been out racing in other classes as well. So we'll have to wait and see. As we can see on the front row there, Evan Belford next to Philip Sorowiak. Of course, the very best of Fab moving on to the British Talent Cup this year. And behind them as well, Sullivan, Mounsey in P4 as they get going on the formation lap. And it looks like Noah Guillory having a bit of trouble getting away there. And I can very much tell you that there is not 8 bikes out on that grid. So we're missing a few riders, it would seem. So maybe problems for a few riders. But it'll be Evan Belford starting from the pole position anyway, with Philip Sorowiak going off alongside him. Rossi Banham is supposedly going to start in P3, but I couldn't quite see him out on track. So maybe Rossi's decided not to go out. I know that his Extreme 200 bikes had a few problems this year. Sometimes he even does the bike on the pit bike 140. And okay, so there we go. So Rossi Banham seemingly not there. Sullivan Mounsey will start in P4. Noah Guillory will start in P5, but he looks to have a few problems there on the grid. Zach Turin starts P6. Jack Andrews will go from 7th. And Jamie King will start from P8. But I've just seen him, he's actually been late to the grid. So Jamie King is going to start a long way back because he's actually, he was late to the dummy grid, was Jamie King. The regulation is if you're late to the dummy grid, then you're unfortunately, you got to start right from the back. And Rossi Banham is also apparently on his way. So he needs to get the hurry up, and actually can just see him out the commentary box window, not even in the dummy grid yet. So him and Jamie King will start from right at the back. The flag marshals seem like they want to get going. Rossi Banham isn't there yet. There we go. They've acknowledged he's there now. And you'll be seeing him. He's coming through. He's going to get told to turn around in a minute, though, because he is way too late to be standing where he is. But no, okay, Rossi, you do you. He's coming anyway. Here we go, then. Let's go racing, shall we? Flag Marshal Rob walks off the grid, points to the lights. We know what this means. Red lights on, red lights off. We're underway. It's a good start from Felix Sorowiak alongside Evan Belford, neck and neck. Sorowiak steals the lead into turn 1. Sullivan Mounsey holds on to P3, actually. Rossi Banham dropped back, but that is a super smart start there from Philip Sorowiak, sliding on the inside into turn 1 and stealing the lead from Evan Belford, of course. First place actually starts on the outside here. So first place doesn't have the inside line into turn 1, and that is what Philip Sorowiak's done. Used that to his advantage, got a great start and just slid through. And you'll be seeing Jamie King go past. There he is. As Jamie King slides past, he started well back from everyone else. So it is currently Philip Sorowiak from Evan Belford, from Sullivan Mounsey, from Rossi Banham. And the top 4 all heading down. And you can see there we've got pit bike style machines, we've got Moto 4 style machines, a rebuilt Moto 4 style machine for that matter after it got a bit destroyed last time out of Wilton Mill. But it is Sorowiak from Belford, from Mounsey, from Banham, your top 4.
Yeah, great start from Philip Sorowiak, and already he's put a free 10th of a second gap, so it's a British Talent Cup rider 1, 2, 3 right now, so it's great to see these riders be able to battle out with their friends, and they're both on that KTM 85cc, both Philip Sorowiak and Evan Belford, and their qualifying times were so close. It was a 1/10 of a second gap actually between them, and Philip Sorowiak, as you've already said, didn't start on that pole position that he may have wanted, but at this circuit it's a slight left kink just on the start finish line actually, so it can mean it can be almost better to start in that second position, but you can just see the differences in riding styles. Philip Sorowiak, he was here at round 2 and he was so dominant. In fact, at one point he just wanted to play with the bike, so he started to 3 or 4 grid rows back from what he actually should have and still won the race. But there's Sullivan Mounsey on that Moto 4 bike, and he's looked great this season as well on that. He's looked so comfortable to be able to push that to its absolute limit. But Rossi Banham right now, he's a little bit further back. He's not seemed to suit the Extreme 200 class this year as much as the pit bike 140s, but he's still out there putting in the laps as Noah Guillory is under a battle right now with Jack Andrews.
Exactly. Well, you say that Rossi Banham maybe perhaps isn't as comfortable. That may be right, but he's still second in the championship and only 23 points off of Filip Sorowiak coming into this race, as the battle further back rages on as they head onto the Hangar Straight with 10 laps, shortly to be 9 laps to go as Sorowiak crosses the line. And having a look to the inside, maybe? No. Jack Andrews pokes a nose, decides against it. He's looking like he's got a lot of pace. I know Noah Guillory, he had a bit of a problem when they got going with the formation. Shook his head and brought his bike to the side and then managed to get going again. So hopefully all of that issue is fixed. Dylan Torian behind them as well, and who is that challenging for the lead? That's Evan Belford takes the lead on the inside of Filip Sorowiak. They were close as they came to the line last time, and now through Matt Whiters, he's managed to slide up the inside with a very sly move, and that is great racing. But Sorowiak still on his tail as they head onto the Hangar Straight. And going down, well, this could be dive bomb city for Filip Sorowiak. Is he going to go? He's having a look. Is he close enough? No, not quite this lap. Still 8 of them to go as they come to the line this time. But Evan Belford, that was very smart there. Saw the opportunity. I presume Sorowiak just ran a little bit wide into Matt Werters, the right-hander, in the middle of the track. And, well, he slid through. And as they go through once again, Belford's actually managed to pull a little bit of a gap now. Sorowiak just needs to hold back. Oh, that's Rossi Banham. Rossi Banham's gone down at the opening section. He's managed to get it going again. But, oh, what a shame there for Rossi Banham. He was running P4. Now dropping further back in the field. So his day's gone from good to perhaps not so good after that dominant performance in the pit bike 140s earlier on. But at least he's managed to get it going again. That's a shame for Rossi Banham. A rare mistake perhaps as well. It's not often that we see him on the deck, but that's how it is sometimes in motorsport.
Yeah, now it's going to be the real chance to see with 7 laps to go in this race. Has Filip Sorowiak got the pace to be able to keep up with Evan Belford and keep in a range where he can be able to see where he can make up time on his own lap time to prove himself and also keep up with Evan Belford and potentially make a move later on in this race. 4/10 of a gap last time round. You see Evan Belford maybe having a slight little look to see if there was any more bites coming towards them, but right now they're up front, they're by themselves. It's Evan Belford and Filip Sorowiak show right now on the KTM 85cc. Although it's only an 8-bike field, it's still great racing that we have here. These guys, of course, was at MotoGP a couple of weeks ago as Filip Sorowiak dives down the inside at the final corner and takes the race lead, but will he be able to keep it as Evan Belford gets the undercut and he will have the outside line, but then the inside line for the first proper corner at this track. 6 laps to go in this race. It looks like Filip Sorowiak has something left in his back pocket, and now he's starting to show it to Evan Belford. But how can Evan Belford retaliate? What does Evan Belford have left? Was Evan Belford maybe conserving some and not wanting to show Filip Sorowiak too much? But now it's time to push on and push for that race win. So Evan Belford, fastest lap of the race, so a 47.8 in the Extreme 200 class. So a fast lap time, but still slightly off Johnny Garness's lap record, who of course leads the British Talent Cup. But both these guys was racing at the British Talent Cup a couple of weeks ago at Silverstone for the MotoGP, but now we're at the back straight once again. Filip Sorowiak makes another dive from a long way back, but will it be the same outcome? No. It looks like it will be Evan Belford, though actually has to back out of it this time, and Filip Sorowiak takes the race lead with just 5 laps to go. Can Evan Belford retaliate, or will he want just to maybe sit there and watch? But this is Fab, it comes past so quick, so you have to get on it, you have to retaliate as fast as you can, because Filip Sorowiak around this Llandow circuit, it's just like a match made in heaven.
It is indeed, but Evan Belford is no slouch either, actually running a little bit wide here and over the curb, so that'll cost him a little bit of time there. In the first attempt at the move down into the hairpin, it was a little bit of a wobble on the front end of Filip Sorowiak, just tried a little bit too hard, pushed a little bit too much around wide. That time though, managed to keep it much tighter and held off from the switchback. He's got a much bigger gap this time, so he can feel safe and comfortable from Evan Belford. But again, there's 4 laps left to go here at Llandow in race 1. I'm sure Evan Belford is just taking a moment, settling back into them, and then he'll get back on the attack again, because he has been fast all weekend long, and he's looking to try and get this race 1 victory. Further back in the pack, we've got some battles. That's Jack Andrews, I believe, trying to push forward, and it's Jack Andrews. Dylan Torrens actually got through Jack Andrews there, so swapping places for P5 on that. So yeah, Zach Torren, apologies, gets through on Jack Andrews, and that's Rossi Banham back into P6. So Rossi's getting a shift on once again, back on the bike, and getting his head down, which is great to see. further up the front as well. And there is Rossi Banham already having a look on Jack Andrews. My oh my, the boy is absolutely at home here at Llandow as they come through, and he's already having a look on the Exeter Chandlers coming up to the Dell. Can he have a look through? No, this is a tricky corner to overtake at the best of times anyway. He'll probably set it up for a dive bomb into Raymond once again, which is you know, the hairpin down here, and there you go, even before drawing alongside. No, actually decides to back out of it. So Rossi Banham taking a little bit cautiously against Jack Andrews maybe, but oh, what a look at that. Super, super smart move from Rossi Banham. I didn't even see that going. Just backs off massively, gets on the throttle early, and slides straight up the inside of the exit of the corner. Fantastic.
Yeah, so Rossi Banham, he's just used his head, settled back into this race. But right now up front, it's still FAB-Racing in that race leading. This battle is raging on between Jack Andrews and Noah Gilroy right now, actually, as Rossi Banham is now in the attack and now trying to chase Zach Tureen. And now the gap between the leaders is 0.6 of a second, but do not count Evan Belford out. This battle's all the way down the field here in this Extreme 200 class. Sullivan Mountsie still sits in that third position as there is the race leaders, and there is the battle between Zach Tureen and Rossi Banham. Rossi Banham now actually looks like he's closing in just slightly. You can see actually, I've seen it all weekend, Rossi Banham's confidence into this final corner is like no other. He backs it in almost every single lap. He has so much confidence as this is the top two guys. This is FAB-Racing and Evan Belford, both British Talent Cup riders. Can Evan Belford try and make a move at the final corner? Because it looks like FAB-Racing has been faster there all race and be able to break far, far deeper. But it was like Evan Belford's drive out of there is far better, so it's so equals now. We're on the last lap of this race. FAB-Racing is still in the lead on that number 75 with the Elmo on his levers named after his dog, as Evan Belford is trying everything he can. Half a second the gap at the line last time around. Can Evan Belford catch up? Can Evan Belford do anything? It looks like actually he's made up a lot of time there on the first sector, so maybe he's just building something for something special in this final sector, in this final lap. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen now. Evan Belford has 2 more corners to go before the end of this race. He needs to get a drive on this final straight, on this back straight. FAB-Racing has a little look. He will know he's there, but it looks like he's a bit too far back, Evan Belford, but he's still going to try and get a good drive out this final corner. They come to the checker flag. It's FAB-Racing who takes the race lead, and he is delighted with that one. Evan Belford wins, gets second place and gets the fastest lap of the race. Sullivan Mountsie should be coming home in that third, but now the battle is still undecided right now. Rossi Banham is still battling for that 5th position at the moment, but there's your race winner. There is FAB-Racing. He is so fast at Llandow. There's the battle still going on between Rossi Banham and Jack Andrews now. Jack Andrews looks towards the inside, but he backs out of it. It's so difficult, but now he's gone proper deep. So now Noah Gilroy is going to try and get a good drive on that MotoGP 70, but he couldn't make it work. And that is the top 7 across the line. Now we just wait for Jamie King, but that was an incredible race.
It is, unfortunately, there for Noah Gilroy. The run to the line from the final corner quite short, so couldn't get it. As there we see the front 2 pulling wheelies. Wow, that is a hard-earned victory for Filip Stroviak. What a battle we've just witnessed between himself and Evan Belford, and I'm sure they can both be absolutely delighted with that race. If not with the result, absolutely for the fun factor. That was brilliant, brilliant action, and brilliant stuff from the pair of them. Of course, don't be afraid. There's still plenty more Extreme 200 action to enjoy. Tomorrow we've got race 2 and race 3 to look forward to. So plenty more of that, please, Philip and Evan. That was very entertaining, it must be said. Great racing. Unfortunately, we did lose Jamie King in that race after his about 2-minute late start. But yeah, shame to see him going. Of course, Jamie King has had a rough few weekends in FAB. He's here on a new bike this weekend, new leathers. And, you know, back at Llandow, and he's looking to get some good results in, which is a shame. But, yeah, what a win there for Stroviak. What a performance from himself and Belford as well. That was brilliant action the whole way through the race. So as we get ready for the opening race for the Mini GP 50s, the first step onto Grand Prix style machinery for the young riders here at FAB-Racing. And it is a strong field here. Only 6 riders, unfortunately, this weekend, but a strong grid nonetheless. And well, we just got to wait and see as they're ready on the dummy grid. Getting out onto the track now. The front 2 make their way forward. Luke Flatcap Fitchett and Archie O'Brien together. Important to note, no Marco Holt this weekend. He's off in Spain doing some Moto 4 stuff, which I don't know why he prioritised that over FAB-Racing, to be honest. This is where all the action is, isn't it? But no Marco Holt here this weekend as they get going on their formation lap, which could really shake things up in the championship. And of course it shakes up results as well. It will be Luke Fitchett going from the pole position with Archie O'Brien alongside him. Bill Harris starts in P3 with Finlay Polehill in P4, and Frankie Watson and Bailey Lawrence round out the grid. But of course, no Marco, he's P2 in the championship, trailing Luke Fitchett by 6 points. And he's not here, it just takes a very, very fast rider out of the equation. We're speaking to Archie O'Brien and his family earlier. They feel confident on the bike here, and with no Marco, they want a win. They feel there's a win of possible this weekend. The first win that will be on his mini GP bike, but of course you've got to get through Luke Fitchett, Bill Harris, those guys first as well. So this could be a titanic battle between the two front runners. Of course, these guys just starting their fleggling mini GP career, their fledgling Grand Prix career, so to say. Who knows what we'll be seeing these guys in a few years' times over in BSB, WSBK, MotoGP. Certainly the British Talent Cup, I'd like to think, given our positive statistics in terms of FAB graduates on that field. But as they get onto the pole positions, the last chats with the marshals, we're getting ready. No Marco Holt. This is anybody's guess as who's going to take this one. Flag marshal gets ready to send them on their way, points to the lights. Here we go then. Race 1 of the mini GP 50s is go, and it is a lightning start for Luke Fitchett. Archie O'Brien gets away okay. Bill Harris gets away pretty strongly as well, but it is Fitchett for O'Brien following him through the hook. So those two look like they're going to be set to do battle. Bill Harris, Finlay Polehill, Frankie Watson all looking pretty strong away as well, but there go your front two. I could already sense this one is going to be tense with Fitchett leading O'Brien, but nothing to separate them. Bill Harris holding onto that P3 from Finlay Polehill on the 199 KTM Tech 3 Inspire machine as well. And Archie O'Brien's in the lead. Already the move being done. No! Fitchett tries to look to the inside through the Dell and gets it done. Already trading places on the opening lap. Here we go, then this is going to be a battle to the wire as they're coming down the back straight. These things can hit 80 miles an hour at full chat. Maybe not quite down the hanger straight, but they can certainly get a lick on. And those two using the full advantage of that speed. It is Luke Fitchett that leads on lap 1, but Archie O'Brien, wow, he's right on his tail.
Yeah, Archie O'Brien with the Spider-Man helmet. He does not have his normal sparring partner of Marco Holt here. And Marco Holt was lying second in the championship, 7 points behind Luke Fitchett. So now Luke Fitchett needs these race wins. He just needs to capitalise on this. This will be so vital for his championship charge as Luke Fitchett in the race lead right now. But Archie O'Brien, he's not letting them get anywhere. He's not letting them get away anywhere. This race has 10 laps to go, and this is going to be a quick 10 laps because Archie O'Brien, he is so confident on that 50, and it's just his first year, to be honest. So now he's in the slipstream. He's slightly smaller actually than Luke Fitchett, but Luke Fitchett, we know how great he is at defending and keeping his position. So now he's in that position that he wants to be. But O'Brien, all throughout this year, has slowly worked on his race start, and we can see it every single round. His race starts are just developing more and more and getting faster and faster. He's no longer bogging down and losing 3 or 4 positions at the start. But right now, Bill Harris is in that final podium position, of course, brother of Ronnie Harris, who races in the 70s. And Ronnie has been helping Bill quite a lot this year. Ronnie's been giving him quite a lot of advice on how to take certain corners, how to ride these 50s, because, of course, Ronnie's done it himself. But Finlay Polehill also coming back from that injury, saying that it's not too bad anymore. He can ride the bike like he wants to and like he's been known how to for his whole life, basically. But Archie O'Brien now a slight gap this time round over Luke Fitchett, so maybe he's just taking a couple laps to steady himself into the race, as Luke Fitchett's just the fastest lap of the race, and it's still about it's still about 4/10 off the previous lap record held by Marco Holt, which was set back in 2021. So maybe we can see that get broken later on in the race once things start to heat up, as Finlay Polehill is putting pressure on Bill Harris with Frankie Watson just behind. If they start squabbling, they'll definitely be in a 3-man pack.
Oh, absolutely. These guys, not a lot separating them in this battle for the final podium place. And again, as you said, Lewis, all it takes is for Harris and Polehill to start squabbling. And, well, Frankie Watson is definitely within a shout of trying to move through as they come around the back section of the track through Chandler's Corner, which is a really horrible corner, if I must say. Very, very bumpy, awkward joins, awkward moments in the tarmac where it changes, and there's a couple of potholes down there as well. A really, really rough corner, but they're negotiating it very, very well. And look at the lean angle that they're getting through that 180-degree hairpin. You know, these bikes are proper Grand Prix style machinery. There's no messing about here. I mean, it's brilliant to see these young riders getting on and being fully committed. As Frankie Watson in his first season in racing, full stop, anywhere, not just on a Grand Prix style bike, is doing a great job in P5 at the moment. Of course, Archer O'Brien and another rookie on this 50 grid to Grand Prix style machines. Of course, they are double champion last year in both the AC40 Pros and the LC40 Elites on the mini motos, but then over the winter just didn't do as much testing on this bike as he would have liked, so hasn't quite got that experience of riders like Luke Fitchett. But what Archer O'Brien does have is speed, and he's putting that on display right now. But of course, Flat Cap Fitchett doing what he does best in putting on a defensive performance for the ages. Archer O'Brien just unable to make the gap appear with 6 laps to go. These two are streaking away at the front. Archer O'Brien now has the fastest lap, only a 10th off the lap record, but they're lapping very, very similar times indeed. So O'Brien closing a little bit. O'Brien's actually getting a lot of time in that middle sector. He's now right on the back of Luke Fitchett, who's forced to go defensive through Chandler's as they come up to the Dell. So problems maybe for Luke Fitchett, just having a bit of a moment, maybe just falling out of the rhythm. All it takes is one mistake and they just keep following up, and look at how close Archer O'Brien is here. Maybe using the slipstream to have a dive, no. Decides against it, holds off. There's still 5 laps at the line, so still plenty of time for him to close that gap. He just needs to know when to make the move.
Yeah, he just doesn't. Luke Fitchett, it's so hard to make a move on him. Luke Fitchett, though, he's showing his class and showing his skill at defending once again. But Archer O'Brien, we know how smart he is. Sometimes he just learns and waits till the last couple of laps and shows all his cards at once. And it makes for some riders to be very, very unexpected, and the pace that Archer O'Brien actually has. But Archer O'Brien, he's using all the track there and then almost hands them. So in these mini GP50s, you need to use all the track. You need to get every single bit of momentum as you can, which is so important for here actually. On this final chicane, before we head on to the back straight, you need to carry as much speed as possible and then get tucked in, get in that slipstream. And Archer O'Brien's just slightly too far back right now for a move, but he's taking a slightly more sweeping line, taking later apex, getting on the throttle slightly earlier and hoping to make up time on Luke Fitchett. And Luke Fitchett is leading now by just 0.4 of a second with just 4 laps to go in this race. The battle's heating up for the race lead as the battle still rages on for its final podium position. I see a couple laps to go actually, as Polhill's gone a bit wide there in the final corner. That Polhill went wide coming out of here actually, and went onto the curbs and lost quite a lot of time actually and settled his bike quite a lot. But Archer O'Brien, you can see the confidence in such a young man. Of course, that Spider-Man helmet, he's still got it on and he's still got the pace for this race win.
I mean, there's a reason the boys on the Vision Track Academy, they clearly believe in him, and it's not hard to see why he's so fast as they come to go through some back marker traffic. Will Archer O'Brien get through as well? Yes, he will, so they both negotiated before the final corner. And Luke Fitchett, I think, is just getting really, really good traction coming onto that back stretch. You see Archer O'Brien gaining through the middle sector, and he's almost on his tail as they come into the Dell chicane, but just coming through that right-hander onto the hanger straight. Just Luke Fitchett just gets superior traction and just manages to pull away down the straight, so Archer O'Brien just can't quite capitalise into the hairpin. We've got 3 laps left to go here at Llandow. I mean, it's still Luke Fitchett leading the way. Archer O'Brien following Sweet in P2 with Bill Harris in P3. And, well, of course, Bill, his first season in the 50s as well, getting help from his brother Ronnie up in the 70s. I wish my siblings were nice to me like that. But it's great to see the real family community and the family atmosphere that we have here at Fab on full display. 2 to go at the line this time. Fitchett leading the way. O'Brien's actually dropped back a little bit. If he needs to make a move, he needs to get on with it.
Yeah, it certainly does, but maybe he can. It's just 2 laps to go in this race now. Archer O'Brien, it's looking like he's just trying to set up a move. He's thinking quite a lot here. There's no way he don't. He's such a smooth rider. None of these riders are really got that aggressive riding style because it just doesn't work on these bikes. You need to be smooth like butter and just get cut through the track, and it gets lap time whenever you're not trying at all. But right now, Luke Fitchett is still leading the way as the battle for fourth place right now is heating up between Finlay Paulhill and Frankie Watson, because at the line last time around it was 12 thousandths of a second, but these are your race leaders. 2 laps ago they head on to the back straight. Can Archie O'Brien get in that slipstream? It still looks like it's too big of a gap, and then it's getting to the point where maybe he's just losing that slipstream, losing that touch down the straights, that he just can't make up that same amount of time during halfway around the lap, during the twisty section, during the technical section. But it's last lap time. Archie O'Brien, the Spider-Man, is on the hunt for Luke Fitchett. Can Luke Fitchett keep his cool with his flat cap, of course? 0.6 of a second that he currently leads at the line. Luke Fitchett on the number 7 Barry Sheenan style number comes around halfway through the lap now already. This lap at Llandow comes past so quick. It's such a big track, but these guys somehow get around it in 49 seconds. Lap record being a 49 flat. Current in this race fastest laps of 49.1. They come round the final straight now. Archie O'Brien, can he get in that slipstream? Can he get a drive to make a move on that final turn? No, he cannot. He's taking a far sweeper line though, and now Luke Fitchett is slightly more defensive. Can there be anything to lie? They come across the line, and Luke Fitchett takes the race lead and takes the race win by 0.3 of a second over Archie O'Brien. So Archie O'Brien, he just couldn't get it. He couldn't have the same amount of pace and just find a way to get past Luke Fitchett. But Luke Fitchett keeping his cool as there's Frankie Watson actually ahead of Finlay Paulhill. So Finlay Paulhill has lost out and dropped back down to 5th place. Not what he would have been wanting, but Frankie Watson comes across the line, following Bill Harris says he was so delighted with that 5th place. So great ride from him and great ride from Archie O'Brien. His starts are definitely getting better.
They absolutely are. You know, it's clear to see when you compare them to earlier in the season that the starts are on the up, but you know, there's still work to be done there. I mean, if he's losing out at the start that much, you know, who knows what could have been in this race if he'd have got away with a similar pace as Luke Fitchett. But it will be flat cap Luke who takes victory in race 1. Archie O'Brien, despite his best efforts, I'm sure he'll be disappointed with that P2, but on the score sheet it's not too bad. And more importantly, it closes him in as well in P2 in the championship, with Marco Holt being a no-show. There goes Luke Fitchett, past the bike, waves to the camera. He knows how much that means. He now leads his championship by quite a long way. Again, the no-show from Marco Holt has opened up so many exciting opportunities for these riders in the championship tables. And of course, there's even more opportunities in race 2 and 3, which come tomorrow.
And next up on track, we will have the AC40 rookies. This is the youngest riders that we have here at FAB. Riders as young as 6-year-old comes out on track on these mini motorbikes. Are here once again at Llandow for the 2nd time this year, and we've seen whenever we're here at the start of the season, Taylor Tomlinson and Sebastian Gieslowski, what a battle they had for that race win. And once again, it's going to be these two guys on the front row, Taylor Tomlinson in pole position with Sebastian Gieslowski alongside them. So the real question is, can we see a repeat of what we've seen in round 2?
I mean, those two are clearly the classes of the field in this FAB-Racing Rookies Cup. Of course, many riders, you know, so young, just come along at different stages in their development. And well, Taylor Tomlinson and Sebastian Gieslowski are just the two that at the moment have just developed the quickest as they get ready to go out for their formation lap. And but yeah, those two again, they've been putting on some brilliant displays so far this year. You know, and you go back even back to the last round at Wilton Mill, it is so brilliant just to watch back and see, you know, these two young riders just starting their motorcycle careers, just giving it absolutely everything, absolutely flying along, and just so much bravery, no fear on these mini moto machines, and it is fantastic to watch. But it is Taylor Tomlinson, the championship leader. He starts from pole position. His main rival, Sebastian Gieslowski, starts alongside. Logan Cousins is in P3 with Nicholas Dunwoody in P4. Josh Perkins is in P5 with Seth Hayward in P6. Annabelle McCarthy starts in 7th with Kai Hawken in 8th. Tyler Hartley and Archie Hooper round out the top 10 with Max Johnson and Caelan Ratcliffe on row 6. Danny Longhurst is in P13 with Mason Frederick in P14. Oliver Wilson is 15th. Henry Bowen is 16th. And then finishing it off is Freddie Taylor in P17. Again, not the largest grid that we've seen this season in the rookies, but a healthy one nonetheless. All eyes going to be on that front row of the grid. It very much could be whoever gets the better jump out of the line may well control the early phase of the race, because those two are so similar in terms of race pace around here. And of course, important to mention that P2 on the grid gets the inside line into turn 1. And for what we've been seeing today, if you get a good launch from P2 and you can hold that inside, you can take an early lead. So pressure's on Sebastian.
Yeah, Sebastian Gustafsson, number 64. He's going to be wanting to get a good start. All these riders now getting told to slow down by the paramedic just for the final corner, letting them know that the grid will be waiting there. Everyone will be at a stop. And then we can get underway for race 1 of the AC40 rookies. These guys are the talents of the future. These guys are the next generation of British motorcycle racing, British motorcycle racers. You can see final checks being done on the bikes and on the riders. Logan Cousins is looking just behind Taylor Tomlinson. We'll be wanting a good start. Taylor Tomlinson actually repositions his bike on the front row of the grid. They're trying to get in as best line as possible. We wait for Rob to point to the lights. Then we can get underway. Rob walks off the grid and he points to the lights. All the eyes go to the lights. Lights are on and lights are off, and we are racing here for AC40 rookies. Race 1. Sebastian Gieslowski has got the race lead straight away from Taylor Tomlinson. What can Taylor Tomlinson do? Logan Cousins stays in 3rd position right now and is watching these front 2 boys go away with it. So will Logan Cousins be able to keep tabs on them and be able to keep catching up with them? But right now, Sebastian Gieslowski leads the way on that red and black 64 bike from Taylor Tomlinson. These guys have been sparring partners all year, and it looks like it's going to keep continuing throughout this season, throughout this race. But right now, great start also from Josh Perkins, who I believe is in 4th place at the moment. But all eyes are on the race leader, Sebastian Gieslowski. Can he keep this race lead up? Can he even convert it into race 1? It's too early to tell just yet. There's 8 laps to go in this race. Let's find out as Taylor Thompson now down the back straight, tucks in everything he can towards the slipstream of Sebastian Gieslowski. But it's too far back for a move on that 1st place, and quite a few riders actually going wide out that final corner as we come across the line for the first time, and it's the 64 of Gieslowski who leads the way.
It is indeed. It's quite interesting because the initial launch at the start, Taylor Tomlinson actually got the better getaway, but obviously when it came to the 2nd phase and getting that traction down, because the way you start these mini moto things, you basically just stand up and you run with them. It's a bit weird. You'll have to watch it back or see later in race 2 and race 3. Just watch out for it. But you literally run with your feet on the ground. And you know, the initial running phase, it was Taylor's to lose. But Sebastian, obviously, once they get on the bike proper and the traction kicks in, you know, he just shot away into the lead, and he's now holding on to that pretty firmly. And himself and Tomlinson starting to pull a gap on the rest of the field. They're already 1.5 seconds ahead of Logan Cousins at the line last time, and that gap is even bigger visually as they head down the Hanger Straight. This time by, these bikes can hit around about 45 miles an hour at full chat. Not quite sure they'll be hitting quite that down the Hanger Straight. It is quite long, but not long enough, unfortunately. But it is Sebastian Gieslowski who leads the way with 6 laps to go. Taylor Tomlinson, though, I think I got the suspicion he's just sitting, waiting, biding his time. Of course, Tomlinson was going from the pole position. He knows how to go around this place better than everyone, perhaps, except Sebastian Gieslowski. Again, the man leading the race, as we see some moves further back in the pack as well, sliding up to the inside. Very, very clean move there by the number 35 for P4 there. Nicholas Dunwoody getting through Josh Perkins. That Josh Perkins diving back to the inside, I think it was. That's a great move, and I think Taylor Tomlinson has massively closed in on Sebastian Gieslowski. I think he's starting to turn up the wicket. He's not going to be close enough for a look into the hairpin this time by, but he is looking ruthlessly fast through that middle section. But of course, Sebastian is a fantastic racer, and you know, for such a young rider, his defensive skills, well, really second to none within this category. And yeah, Taylor's going to have a bit of an arse to try and get through him, but there's still 5 laps left to go. Anything can happen.
Yeah, there still is, and there's still a battle going on for that 4th place right now between Josh Perkins and Nicholas Dunwoody. But there's Annabelle McCarthy, one of our female riders here at FAB, trying to get as much time made up as possible in that first sector between them, Kai Hawkins. So it's great to see these riders every single round. You can see them just developing with themselves and with their bikes and with their riding styles. So you can see from the first race of the year to the final race here, you can just see such a big difference in these riders. But Annabelle McCarthy now has Tyler Hartley on her tail, and now she's having to try and think about defending maybe on that pink and black bike. So now we come round the back section of the track now through the chicane, And now Annabelle McCarthy just needs to use her head, not run wide, because if she runs wide, it's going to be Tyler Hartley who is on her tail. But the battle's still going on all the way down the field, actually. There's battles everywhere as they come past a back marker, it seems. But it looks like Kai Hawken is still going to hold on to that position, still hold on to that 6th place. And there's a crash for one of the riders there. It's not what you're wanting at all in this race. But they're up on their feet at least. It looks like they're trying to get the bike started so they can get back into the race and back, hopefully, into good point scoring position.
Yeah, picking bits off the track though as the marshal, so hopefully everything is okay with the bike. As we look further back, some lap traffic getting through there. Just have to forge way through again. We've seen time and time again in this class, again, because there's just so many different skill levels in the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup. As the number 64, Sebastian Goslavsky, still leads the way, setting a new fastest lap that last time around as well, a 59.185. Very, very quick indeed. But yeah, it's you know, there's so many different skill levels here. So some riders just, you know, still learning their way and still learning how to race and even just how to ride the bike at speed. And you get to a point where back markers can really cause havoc. I mean, we saw it at Ella Park when the back marker in the final corner led to a photo finish. I mean, it's anything is possible in the FAB-Racing Rookies Cup as we see the leaders there. Sebastian Goslavsky and Taylor Tomlinson, P1 and 2. Tomlinson, Goslavsky loses the front end. And through goes Taylor Tomlinson. All it took was a little mistake, and that is how punishing this sport can be. It was a perfect race so far from Sebastian Goslavsky, but tucks the front a little bit, runs a little bit wide through Matt Whiters, and there he goes back into P2. Taylor Tomlinson capitalising perfectly on the mistake after applying the pressure. What a shame there for Sebastian Goslavsky, but there's still 3 laps left to go in this race. He's looking fast. It is not over yet. Can Taylor Tomlinson hold on? Can Sebastian Goslavsky find a way past? As you see there, trying a dive bomb, but can't make it stick into the hairpin. 2 laps left to go, and the leaders, you still couldn't fit a sheet of paper between them, even if the orders were swapped.
Yeah, Logan Cousins just getting passed by Nicholas Dunwoody, wanting that position back. Logan Cousins' bike, actually, I believe, was at the Day of Champions on the Thursday of the MotoGP race weekend, so it's great to see these FAB riders and these FAB rookie riders getting the recognition that they deserve. But right now, Sebastian Goslavsky, he will not be wanting 2nd place. He will be wanting this race win. He feels like he needs the recognition for this race win after the pace that he's shown all race. Just a slight mistake from him. And there we have Annabelle McCarthy getting past a couple of riders there in the hairpin section of the track. It's so fast for here, and it looks like actually straight away Tyler Hartley is watching this unfold, but Kai Hawken is wanting some way past Annabelle McCarthy. It's great though that these guys are battling for that 6th position. It's a freeway battle, and there's the battle for the final podium position, sorry, for the 4th place position between Logan Cousins.
Oh, Tomlinson to the lead!
Goslavsky actually in the lead, passing Tomlinson and be able to get that race win back, getting that race lead back and trying to convert it into a race win. Taylor Tomlinson down into 2nd place. What does he have in his back pocket? Does he have anything? And it looks like now if he's going to have to do it, it's going to be in this final sector, I think, because now Taylor Tomlinson might need a second just to breathe, or will he just try and fight back as fast as possible? It looks like, though, Sebastian Goslavsky has used that moment to fuel him and drive him for this race and pushing as hard as he's ever pushed before. He wants this race and he feels like he deserves it. And now in this final sector of the track, it looks like Tomlinson has far more corner speed and far more momentum going onto the straight. Can he do anything though? Can he get in the slipstream and make a move? Going into the final corner, Taylor Tomlinson looks like he's too far back. There's a back marker at the final corner, but it looks like he's got out of the way. Sebastian Goslavsky will win the race and take the checker flag, and he'll be delighted with that. He had a moment. We all thought it was over, but he managed to claw it back and get in that 1st place and get that first race win of the weekend. And Taylor Tomlinson, he'll not be too disappointed with that result, but obviously starting in that pole position, you almost expect yourself to be up there for that race win. But Taylor Tomlinson, he's still got a race tomorrow, but what a race that was here today. It was a battle all the way through and battles all the way down the field.
Absolutely. I mean, kudos to Sebastian Goslavsky there after a mistake and nearly coming off the bike, staying in the fight and then getting into the lead and taking the race victory. He will be your victor by 0.5 of a second. Taylor Tomlinson, unfortunately, just overcooked it slightly coming onto the back stretch. and threw away the chances of challenging down into the final quarter with Nicholas Dunwoody rounding out the podium. Logan Cousins is P4 with Josh Perkins in P5. Annabelle McCarthy managed to get into P6 with Kai Hawken in P7. Tyler Hartley in P8 with Hooper and Johnson rounding out your top 10. That'll be it for today for the AC40 rookies. But as always, don't be afraid. There's still race 2s and race 3s to look forward to tomorrow. Although, well, the weather conditions may be a bit more to Taylor Tomlinson's liking. We know he likes it in the wet. He always runs quite well in the wet as well. I mean, he always runs well anyway. He's really fast, but he's brilliant in the wet. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But a great race there, and 2 more fantastic races to look forward to. So then, we get ready for the first Moto Team action of the weekend. You can just see them forming up on the dummy grid, getting ready to go racing. Of course, Moto Team, for the uninitiated, a bit of a weird class. It's I like to refer to it as the commentator's nightmare, because the names that you're seeing on the screen do not always match up with whoever's riding the bike, because Moto Team is all about the bike, not the rider. So it may very well be a different person who's riding the bike, but it still says it's the name of the person who's owned and entered the bike. So we've got no idea half the time who's riding the damn things. But it's fun action anyway. It's also one of the cheapest, not one of the cheapest, one of the perhaps more affordable, should I say, variants of racing that we offer at FAB-Racing. It's pretty simple. You buy yourself a bike, you slap a race fairing on it, off you go.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's one of those classes, and it's one that attracts some great racing and some great riders. Last round, actually, with the X500cc Grand Prix rider, Shane Norville,
yeah.
racing it. So it just attracts some great talent. But yeah, Will Howarth will be wanting a race win this weekend, because every single race weekend and here at Llandow for round 2, he had a great battle with Darren Anderson, but Darren Anderson sadly is not here this weekend, so it doesn't look like we'll be getting a repeat of that. But it's the Moto Team class. I'm sure we'll get some great racing as we wait for these riders to head out on their warm-up lap, their green flag lap. Before we get underway, it will be Will Howarth on the number 96, starting in pole position with Jamie King, last year's champion and current championship leader in the standard class.
It's definitely not Jamie King on the bike, I can tell you that much.
Jack Andrews will be starting in 3rd place. Ian Jackson on that Suzuki will be starting 4th. Jason Pugh, his bike will be starting in 5th, but he will not be on the bike after a crash in qualifying. Phil Maplebeck will be starting in 6th, with Scott Jewett in 7th. Madison Martlew will be starting 8th, Philip Joyce 9th, Paul Kelly 10th, and Ian Baker will be rounding off an 11-bike grid, which 11 bikes is a pretty respectable number. It's not the biggest grid that we've seen here for the Moto Team class, but it's still very, very respectable. I'm sure we'll still see some excellent racing, as I'm just trying to see who is actually on that bike of Jason Pugh, the number 8, of course. And it looks like, actually, it's going to be Jack Andrews, who's on Jason Pugh's bike, although Jack Andrews has entered the bike himself.
Yeah, work that one out. Of course, last time out of World Tour, we had a freakishly large grid, because we had a load of the guys from the Free Tech Endurance Championship coming along for the day, including the 500cc World Grand Prix rider, Shane Norville, as you mentioned. So it's maybe a little bit smaller in comparison, but 11 bikes, that is great to see. And we've got plenty more Moto Team action in store for you across the weekend. But right now, it's time for race 1, and it's time to wait for the lights to come on and the lights to go out. We're racing. It's a great start from Will Howarth, as you'd expect. The number 1 machine of Jamie King, all battling there with the, that's the 270 of Ian Jackson, who's managed to slide through into P2. So it's Will Howarth that leads the way, Ian Jackson in P2, the Jamie King number 1 bike in P3, which doesn't have Jamie King on it, and I believe Jack Andrews in P4 there, even though he's not on his own bike. Work that one out for you. And well, it's team racing. Who really knows? You can enter your own bike and then be on someone else's. It's how it works in Moto Team, but it's great action nonetheless. And Will Howarth and Ian Jackson currently streaking away from the pack a little bit, as there goes Jack Andrews on the number 8 machine into P3. So as we get going down to the first lap, and I'll tell you the orders as well, because I don't think we've got to mention, if you're new to Moto Team, there's also 2 classes in Moto Team, so work that one out. It's challenging for the overall lead, as it's Will Howarth leads from Ian Jackson from the number 8, the number 1 in P4, by the way, Will Howarth and Ian Jackson are in two different classes, So them battling right now means absolutely nothing to the results of their race. They have no reason to be fighting other than pure ego and drive and passion to win overall on the road. In reality, they're both going to get 30 points if they finish where they are now anyway. So it's Moto team. You just got to roll with it, but it is a lot of fun to watch, and I'm sure it's a lot of fun to take part as well, as it is Will Howarth on board the 96 machine, which has been so dominant overall and in the open class this year, who seems to be starting to pull away into the lead a bit. I mean, so dominant was that number 96. You go back to Ella Park, he actually did 2 last to first challenges, which was quite impressive, to say the least, as we see there, the 229. Yeah, that is Ian Baker going down at the bottom end of the circuit. Gets the bike back up. Looks to be okay visually, but hopefully no damage. Great to see him on his feet as well. That's coming through Matt Whiter's. So, yeah, problem. It is a very problematic section there. It's a little bit off camber as well. Quite a tight, fast hairpin. And there you see, as he walks dejected off the track, there goes the leaders coming through. Will Howarth and Ian Jackson. So through behind them as well. It's actually the number 1 machine's got through the number 8 machine. So that's the Jamie King bike getting past the Jason Pugh bike, of course, with Jack Andrews on it, as we head down the back straight. And of course, Jason Pugh, the number 8, Jamie King, the number 1, they're also in different classes. So those two fighting also means nothing, as further problems further back in the field. That seems to be Paul Kelly on the 339, having problems getting the motor started, so engine trouble perhaps. Hopefully he's up to get it going. So I'm already seeing a few reliability woes early on in this race. That could be a problem getting a little bit later on.
Yeah, it's still very, very hot here at Llandow. Although the wind's out, it's still very hot, and right now the race is hotting up because Will Howarth in the race lead is still under pressure from Ian Jackson for his overall race win, because obviously when you're on the bike, when you're a racer, you just want that bike in front of you to be long gone. You want to get past it, and no matter what class they're in, it's still racing, and it's still, they'll be having so much fun. They'll be laughing about this after the race. But right now, Will Howarth is having to start thinking about defending because Ian Jackson's down the inside, going down to the final corners. Now Will Howarth gets the better drive out the final corner. They head side by side to the first corner. Now Will Howarth retakes that race lead. Ian Jackson, he has so much pace on that Suzuki on the 270. This time round, we haven't seen him battle for an overall race win so far this year, I don't believe. So it's great to see his confidence has risen up as Ian Jackson. So now Ian Jackson, he was looking like he's trying to plan another move on Will Howarth. Will Howarth, though, he will have to try and find someone else. There's no way he can just stay at the same pace for the whole race because there's still 8 laps to go. All this is letting Ian Jackson do is find out where he can make up time if Will Howarth does not pull the pin and just go for it. So Will Howarth now carrying all his momentum on his 2-stroke. Down the back straight now, the number 1 of Jimmy King's bike is in 3rd place. Jimmy King not riding it, but Ian Jackson makes the move once again at the hairpin. So now Howarth, he's down, maybe even down on power. So now we come across the line, 7 laps to go in this race. The number 96 of Will Howarth has got past as the Jamie King's bike sets the fastest lap of the race, 53.7. So that time round, it was almost a second quicker than the current race leader. So right now it's a freeway battle for the race lead in the Moto Team race. So Ian Jackson leads away from Will Howarth, and Jamie King's bike is in 3rd place in that final podium position right now. Jack Andrews on that bike of Jason Pugh is in 4th, with Phil Maplebeck in 5th place. So right now, Will Howarth is looking to line up a move exactly where he got past exactly 1 lap ago. So will all this squabbling let Jamie King's number 1 bike through and maybe even into that race lead? As now Will Howarth looks down the inside but cannot make it work on that 2-stroke motor. He needs to get that in the power band. He has got it in the power band. They're side by side, heading towards the first corners. Will Howarth reclaims that race lead with just 6 laps to go in this race. The race is hotting up.
It's important to note as well that Will Howarth is in the Moto Team Open class compared to these two bikes, as that's the number 1 diving down the inside, or slamming the door. Ian Jackson on the 270. But as I was saying, Will Howarth on the number 96, That's in the Moto Team Open class, which is actually slightly faster than these two on the standard class, as that is a mega move by the number 1. Wow! Up the inside at Chandler's. That's not somewhere you overtake. He's pulled it off anyway. Brilliant stuff. That bike is starting to get really quick as the race goes on. Will Howarth, a little bit of a breather as he comes down into the braking zone because of the battle that was going on behind him. But now the number 1 already challenging to the inside. The Jamie King bike is fighting for the lead into turn 1. It's taken the lead into turn 1. Brilliant stuff there from that number 1 machine. Where's this pace come from? Absolutely out of nowhere. Suddenly they've gone from 3rd to 1st in about half a lap.
Yeah, well, obviously it's Jamie King's bike that they're on, and they're not, maybe even not used to this bike that much. Obviously, Jamie King's been riding the bike mostly himself this year, unlike what we've seen in previous years. So maybe it just took a couple laps to get into it, feel the bike out, and now up front the pace is definitely heated up. I mean, Ian Jackson, it looks like he's just dropped back a couple of attempts, as now all eyes are on Jamie King's bike. The number 1 plate, of course, being on it, and Will Howarth in 2nd place on that 96, as now it's time to see, can Will Howarth make a move heading into his final corner? He looks too far back, but Ian Jackson, has he got a problem, or have these guys just kicked up the pace to the next level? As now they're almost side by side once again, and yeah, Jamie King's number 1 bike is a 53.6 that time round. Will Howarth sets his first personal fastest lap and takes the race lead this time round. So now both into the 53s. Ian Jackson in that 54s, and now the number 1 bike back down the inside, but Will Howarth's got the inside for his right-hander. Can he keep it tight, or will he run wide? He runs wide, and he drops back down to 2nd place. 4 laps go in this race, and now it's looking like a battle right down to the death between these two bikes. Ian Jackson will be watching this unfold and potentially getting back into it as Will Howarth takes the race lead once again, heading into the chicane, and now we head down towards the back straight. Carry all your momentum through it. Now back markers are also starting to get into place, and now Philip Joyce actually coming into place. So now the number 1 plate diving down the inside once again. Will Howarth trying to get that undercut, trying to get that drive, heading towards the first turn. Can he make it work? Yes, he can. He takes the race lead once again. Now back markers. Philip Joyce, the 119, is now slightly in the way. Can he get ahead? Can he get past smoothly?
Going the wrong way.
No blue flags here at FAB. So now just having to use their head, and Will Howarth somehow still in that race lead, and somehow still clean racing.
The number 1 just went the wrong way around the back marker, costing them a little bit of time, and now that's opened the door potentially for Ian Jackson on the 270 to have a look to the inside, but not quite yet, still waiting for the move. That's allowed Will Howarth just to slide just a little bit away in front, have a little bit of breathing space, with 2.5 laps really left to go on the ticker. Coming down the back straight, can Ian Jackson try anything into the last corner? No. Too far back this time. Oh, that's really wide. That's really wide from Will Howarth. He'll get a superior drive down the front stretch, but again, now the door's wide open for the number 1 machine. Every corner this race is changing. These two shouldn't even be bothering fighting. The number 1 should be fighting the 370. They're both in, or the 270 of Ian Jackson, because they're both in the standard class. There goes the number 1 to the overall lead. It's just chaos out there in the Moto team, having to move some back markers out of the way a little bit. Will Howarth will look to the inside at Chalmers this time. No, can't quite make it appear. Is Ian Jackson? He's got his entry compromised by that bar marker, but it looks like he hasn't lost that much time. As there goes Will Howarth once again to the inside, coming into the dell. Seems to be a move he loves making, up the inside into that chicane. But now onto the straight, the number 1 gets the superior drive. The number 1 goes to the overall lead. Ian Jackson trying to follow as well. Oh, almost contact as Will Howarth slams the door, takes the overall lead. Onto the final lap we go. Here we go then. It's Will Howarth against the Jamie King bike, against Ian Jackson. Oh, you can't call this one, can you? You can't script this one, can you? It could be any of these top 3 taking the overall victory. Pending a disaster, Will Howarth has won this race in the open class. He is so far away from anybody else in the open class. But the number 1 and the 270, they're still fighting for the standard win, and the fight for the overall win is still on as they head down onto the Spitfire straight for the final time and into the dell. And it looks like Will Howarth again, just a little bit of breathing room. So he looks like he might be set to take the overall victory, but the standard victory just behind. It's anybody's guess. Onto the backstretch for the final time. It will be Will Harris that wins this race overall, even if he runs deep. Who's going to come out on top in the standard? It will be the number 1 who just takes it at the line and just pips Ian Jackson. But wow, wow, wow. What a race we have just had in the Moto team. A 3-way fight for the lead. 2 of them actually fighting each other for points. That was just unbelievable stuff there. But it will be Will Howarth taking the open win, taking the overall win. It will be the number 1, the Jamie King bike, taking the standard win and taking P3 or P2 overall. Ian Jackson, unfortunately, dropping to P3. Couldn't quite fight his way back through, with Jack Andrews rounding out the standard class podium in P4. But that was a brilliant race we've just had in our hands there. And of course, we've got 2 more of them to look forward to tomorrow as well.
Yeah, you just couldn't say that at all. Will Harris takes the race win by 1.2 seconds. Jamie King's bike comes home in 2nd place, of Ian Jackson in 3rd. Jack Andrews' bike will be coming home in 4th, with Jason Pugh of Jack Andrews on it will be coming home in 5th place. Philip Maplebeck 6th, Scott Drew will be coming home in 7th, Madison Martlow 8th, Philip Joyce 9th, and Paul Kelly, who had that slight engine issue earlier on in the race, will be classed as 10th position. So great race there from the Moto team guys. As we mentioned, 2 more races tomorrow, and it was so impressive to see such clean racing from these guys. But of course, Will Howarth, the race winner, will be back out later on in the senior mini moto class, and there is the bike getting pushed back of Paul Kelly. It's such a beautifully looking bike, actually, golden coloured machine, and taking a lot of pride in his work and taking a lot of pride in his bike, and definitely will not be taking a lot of pride in that race. But great race, and it's one that will be definitely looking back on, I think.
Yep, absolutely. That was I'd argue, one of the best Moto team races I've ever seen. And well, as I said, we've still got plenty more Moto team action to come with race 2 and race 3 for Sunday. Oh, I cannot wait. Let me tell you, that was brilliant, and I cannot wait for some more.
And next race of the day, we will have the LC40 Elites, the highest class of mini motor racing in the UK, and it's the one you want to win. It's the one you want to be in. And all season, we've been seeing close battles from the Johnson brothers, Byron Johnson and Austin Johnson. Austin, the older brother, but this time around he'll be starting behind his younger brother. So what will happen? And it will actually be Finlay Paul Hill, who's coming back after that injury, who'll be starting on our pole position this time around. So what can he do? I'm expecting a close battle this time around. I mean, these guys, it's been a close, hard-fought battle all year in the LC40 Elites, and it's a mix of air-cooled and liquid-cooled bikes. So now we're just waiting for these guys to head out on their green flag lap, and now they do, because it will be Finlay Paul Hill on the 199 on the bright orange bike, starting in pole position. Byron Johnson will be starting in 2nd, and his older brother Austin will be starting in 3rd. Sam Gardner will be alongside them. Harrison Day will be starting in 5th. Matthew Thomas 6th, who had that crash earlier on in the AC40 Pros, with Jensen Bishop in 7th. Corey Gleason in 8th, with Oliver Hall, last year's rookie champion, making that step onto the Pros and onto the Elites, will be starting in 9th. Dylan Tureen 10th. George Ackerman 11th, and Callum Maxwell will be rounding off our our grid of 12 for the LC40 Elite class.
So a very strong grid there, it would seem, and well, Finlay Paul Hill getting that pole position. Well, it's been a championship that's been dominated by the Johnson brothers so far. Austin Johnson leads the way with Byron in 2nd, of course. Bearing in mind Finlay did miss 2 rounds through an injury, so it's going to be interesting to see. Sam Gardner there. Problems with the number 56 bike. He's come to a stop down, coming onto the Hanger Straight. So the start will be delayed by just a few moments. Hopefully they can get that issue sorted. That's a shame for Sam Gardner if he can't get it going once again, because he's going off a P4. A very strong qualifying position indeed for the young man. So let's see, is it going again? No, that looks terminal. And that is Sam Gardner's race done and dusted before it even got underway. What a shame for Sam Gardner. And hopefully he'll be back after race 2 and race 3. But it's time now to focus on race 1 for the LC40 Elites. We wait now. The marshals and the parents have their last words with the young riders. We wait for the flag marshal, one of our race directors here, Rob, to point to the lights as we are all seemingly ready to get going and get racing. I think Oliver Hall actually looks like he's having a few problems, but now is all good. Get the signal from the back of the grid. And now problems up the front for Finley Polehill, it would seem. Just revving the engine, trying to get everything clean. Now we're ready to go racing, shall we? Flag marshal will point to the lights and step out the way. And now we all know the secrets now. It'll be red lights on. Lights off. We're underway. It's a great start from Finley Polehill. He manages to cut across the front of Byron Johnson down into turn 1 with Austin Johnson holding on to P3. Actually, that's Harrison Day that's managed to slide into P3, going off a P5 on the grid. So a great start for Harrison Day, but it is Finley Polehill that leads this race with Byron Johnson. He's giving it a good go. He's still holding on to the back of him. Matthew Thomas as well got a pretty good start. And, well, there we can see actually already Austin Johnson's got through Harrison Day. So Austin Johnson back into that P3. Oh, down in the background, someone with a big, big tumble there. And hopefully everyone is all okay. I didn't quite catch who went down. I think it may have been Dylan Torian who went down. And that is not what we want to see. But the race continues up the front for the time being. As we have now red flag out. There we go, red flag here at Llandow. Finley Polehill will come to a stop at the start-finish line. As, well, hopefully everybody is okay. But that was, well, quite a nasty crash. And that's not what you want to be seeing. But we'll give you updates and let you know as soon as we know as they come back onto the grid. But focusing on that start, that was a great start there for Finley Polehill. Just got going, cutting back across into the lead and cutting across the front. As there we can see, up on his feet is Dylan Torian, which is fantastic to see there, him up on his feet. So that's fantastic stuff. And up on his feet, so obviously bit battered and bruised, maybe had the wind knocked out of him a little bit, but he's up, that is the main thing. And luckily the bike looks to be pretty okay as well, as someone running back across the track there. Not quite sure who that was, but getting a bit of a jog on. You know, it's pretty healthy, good exercise, why not?
Yeah, so right now, Sam Gardner is trying to make a restart in this race, but I do not believe he'll be able to make a restart because he didn't take part in the original start of this race. So he's on the grid right now, on his feet. There he's walking about the right-hand side of your picture, looking confused himself, but he doesn't even have a bike with him, and now he's being told that he can't start the restart of this race. So Sam Gardner, not what he wanted, but there is 2 races tomorrow for him to take part in the LC40 Elite class, and he'll also be able to race in the pros. So Sam Gardner, he'll definitely be able to make it up tomorrow, but these guys just waiting for a restart in this race, waiting for some kind of conclusion. So then we can get underway and find out who is going to take the race one, because there's so many possibilities in this class. There's so much talent packed in one grid. Although there's only 12 bikes, every single one of them is just as talented as each other, but there'll only be 10 bikes on this restart. But I'm sure we'll still see a great, great battle and a very, very close race.
Absolutely. As the riders now given the signal to go back to their grid slots, we'll have one warm-up lap and then it'll be a complete race restart. So we'll be going from lap 1 once again. Finley Polehill, he'll be looking to get a strong start as he did last time, but of course alongside of Byron Johnson won't be willing to make the same sloppy mistake twice after by his standards what was pretty sluggish and not what he would have wanted, going away from the line and allowing Finley just to cut straight across him and slam the door for any attempt of a move into turn 1. We see there a few riders a little bit out of position, but it's of course we got a warm-up lap to look forward to, so it's all fine. Again, just to confirm that Sam Gardner not allowed to take the start as we get going on our second warm-up lap. Seemed like a little bit of a wave to the camera there from Finley Polehill for a second. Not quite sure what was going on. As we get going once again, that was a very, very close opening few laps. And I'm sure we're going to be seeing the same once again. Finley Polehill, it must be tough for him to get the perfect start like that, Lewis, from the pole position. and then suddenly you've got to start and do it all again. It must be quite challenging.
Yeah, he just has to use his head, keep focused, because he will be starting in pole position with Byron Johnson alongside him, with Austin Johnson in third place. Obviously, the older brother with Sam Gardner will not be starting in fourth, but he should have been. Harrison Day will be starting in fifth, with Matthew Thomas alongside Jensen Bishop seventh, Chloe Gleason eighth, Oliver Hall in ninth, Dylan Tureen will not be starting 10th, which will be another empty grid slot for us, but George Ackerman 11th, and Callum Maxwell will be starting 12th for what should be a superb race for the LC40 Elites. The highest class of mini motors, as we have some of the younger siblings, some of the other riders dancing, enjoying their weekend in the sun here in Wales and here at Llandow, as we wait for these riders to enjoy their first race of the LC40 Elites here at Llandow. Final checks are done on the grid. Everyone off the grid, says Rob. Rob now comes off the grid, points to the lights. We wait for the lights to come on. The lights are on and the lights are off straight away, and Finlay Paulhill out the gate has the pace and now takes the race lead from Byron Johnson. And now Byron Johnson is having to stick with this race leader. He knows that he's slightly slower than him in qualifying, so now he just needs to learn as much as he can on these first couple of laps. Harrison Day in third right now, with the older brother Austin Johnson in fourth. There is last year's rookie champion. There is Oliver Hall trying just to catch up to Matthew Thomas and keep with these front guys and these front runners. So Oliver Hall has had great pace around Llandow all weekend, but there is Finlay Paulhill in the race lead, going around the final chicane of the lap before we then head to the final straight, the back straight, and now you get tucked in as possible. Finlay Paulhill already having his right leg out, anticipation for this final hairpin corner. And there's Austin Johnson trying to catch up to his brother with Harrison Day straight on his tail, and straight out the gate, fastest lap of the race goes to Finlay Paulhill, a 54.5 that time round. So fast straight away from these guys. It's amazing to see, even after a long red flag period, maybe it was a bit of focus, they're able just to get straight focused, and these lap times down to this amazing times. So there's Harrison Day right now under pressure from Matthew Thomas. Matthew Thomas crashing out with the AC40 Pros on that last lap. He'll not want anything like that in this LC40 Elite class. And Jensen Bishop having a great race right now with Oliver Hall behind him. So right now it's still Finlay Paulhill who leads the way by quite a dominant fashion already over the two Johnsons.
Yeah, Finlay Paulhill, I mean, this time Byron Johnson did get a much better start, but Finlay Paulhill in that second phase just shot away, and now he's leading quite comfortably already as we cross the line. 7 laps to go, this time by the two Johnson brothers, currently holding on to that P2 and 3. Austin's actually got through Byron already, so Austin looking very pacey indeed. Harrison Day pulling back to P4 after a very strong start. Important to know that Austin, of course, is on the liquid-cooled bike, while Byron is on the air-cooled bike. Of course, in order to get more participation in the LC40 Elite class, FAB-Racing it's also open to some of the AC40 bikes that are running the pros and the rookies. You just take the restrictor off and it's essentially the same, but of course the liquid-cooled bike that you can see Austin Johnson shooting away from his brother Byron there. He's on the liquid-cooled. It is just fast down the straight, even for the older brother. That is Austin, this is older brother. He's much larger than his brother Byron. Just shooting away down the straights and already starting to close the gap on Finlay Paulhill. We'll have to wait and see how this develops as the race unfolds. 6 laps left to go, and action wherever you look as Jensen Bishop tries to close onto the back of Matthew Thomas, trying to find and see a way through, but just unable to do so early on into this lap. And of course, still plenty of time left. And well, Lewis, these guys, you know, this is the final step for many of these young riders before they go on to the mini GP bikes, the Grand Prix style machinery. And this is, you know, really where you've got to prove your worth before you make the transition, you make the jump onto a geared bike.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's really one where you need to finally perfect your riding style before you head on to the gear bikes and head on to the fast Metro Kit bikes. So these guys, it's their final attempt of getting the mini moto crown before they step up, and it's a real big step up for these guys, but the way that FAB works, the perfect system, to be honest. These guys learn how to ride the bike, and they're all the way back in the rookies. And now it's at the point now where every single 10th of a second at each corner matters, and you're on the limit of these bikes every single corner. So it has to come a stage where you have to move up to the geared bikes, and the transition is so smooth. We've seen it this year with Archie O'Brien going on to that 50. He's just able to adapt it almost straight away, and is now a front runner in that pack, battling for race wins every single race weekend. But Jensen Bishop now is still putting pressure for Matthew Thomas. Matthew Thomas, though, doesn't look like he's going to give in any time soon. So Jensen Bishop is going to have to force a way through with 5 laps to go. It looks like he has closed that gap, as Harrison Day is just slightly off Byron Johnson. Harrison Day, though, the bright pink helmet, you can just see how almost iconic that helmet is at this stage. It's so easy to spot on track. Of course, his dad Josh, both of them have been through quite a lot of crashes this year, quite a lot of incidents, but they made it through it. They came back stronger, and Matthew Thomas has come back stronger at Jensen Bishop, as Jensen Bishop put him under a bit more pressure there, but Matthew Thomas being able to hold on to that position and hold on to that 5th position. So Jensen Bishop still piling on the pressure with laps now coming down. 4 laps to go in this race. These laps come past thick and thin. There's only 9 laps for these guys to go around. So every single corner, you have to make a move, and you have to capitalize on every opportunity.
Absolutely you do, and here you can see, well, Jensen Bishop trying to capitalize on Matthew Thomas's relative lack of pace to him, because he's drawing to the inside as they come down the hanger straight. He's on the brakes later, he's getting into the corner and gets the move done. Oh, runs slightly deep on the exit though, gets superior drive in the 2nd phase and takes the position. So Jensen Bishop up into P5, and a nice little move there, but he did have to work for it, didn't he? Matthew Thomas isn't going to take no for an answer. He's going to try and have a look maybe to the inside. No, decides against it this time. And again, still 3 laps left to go, even though that's, you know, relatively quite a short amount of time, and every corner matters. There is still opportunities left for Matthew Thomas to try and slide back into 5th place as they head down the Spitfire Straight, so called after the Spitfires that used to fly out of here at RAF Llandow when this was an air base back in World War II, before it got fashioned into the racetrack of the car track that we all know and love here at FAB-Racing. Down the back straight once again, and this time I think it's safe to say Jensen Bishop has secured that 5th place save for a disaster. Matthew Thomas just falling back just a little bit, can't quite keep on the same pace. With 2 laps left to go this time, Finley Polehill has got a pretty dominant lead, 1.6 seconds at the line last time round, and a fastest lap of the race last time round as well, a 52.670. And there is Finley as he makes his way through the Dell. Have to deal with a little bit of back markers. And there is the battle that we are focusing on for the time being. And now there is Finley Polehill once again. We'll have 1 lap to go this time by the yellow and black crossed flag indicating 1 more tour of the circuit. And there you can see it just in the background. Austin Johnson receives it as well, but Austin, I think, a little bit too far back to challenge for the win unless something goes drastically wrong for the man in orange, which you're seeing on your screen, who's been through quite a lot this year. It is safe to say a pretty nasty arm brake putting him out for 2 rounds early on in the season. But he's back to his brilliant best now with half a lap left to go. It has been a brilliant performance. He's had to deal with a red flag. He's had to deal with the mentality of having to reset that race start, but he has coped with it fantastically. We spoke to him earlier. Such a charming young man, and he seems set for a solid result this weekend, and a solid result he's going to get. He's already nodding his head. He knows what's coming as he looks at the camera. 1 corner to go. Finley Polehill back on top in FAB-Racing. He wins in race 1 in the LC40 Elite, and you can see just how much that means to him. Cool as you like from Finley Polehill. What a brilliant performance that is, with Austin Johnson bringing it home in 2nd. Byron Johnson holds on to P3. The battle there for P4. Harrison Day maintains it with Bishop in P5 and Matthew Thomas in P6. Oh, Finley Polehill, that is absolutely superb, and he knows. He was celebrating before he even crossed the line. he knew that that was his race to lose, and he grasped it with both hands. There you go, Finley Powell, 2.3 seconds at the line from Austin Johnson. Byron Johnson rounding out that podium with Harrison Day in P4. Jensen Bishop was P5 with Matthew Thomas in P6. Chloe Gleason, who took pole here in the Rookies Cup last season, of course the first female pole sitter in FAB-Racing history. She's P7 with Oliver Hall in P8. And then Callum Maxwell was P9, a good result for him, with George Ackerman rounding out that top 10. That concludes the first race of the LC40 Elite. But don't be afraid, there's still plenty more LC40 action to look forward to. We've got race 2 and race 3 to look forward to tomorrow. But wow, wasn't that a brilliant race? What a performance from Finley Polner there, and a well-deserved victory. I'm sure he can go to bed a happy boy.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. I mean, it was a dominant performance from start to finish. It was 2.3 seconds at the line, as you've already said. So, yeah, so from start to finish, he was just straight on it. Even during the first race before the restart, he just managed to capitalise on it and just managed to edge out a gap. So, Finley Powell, so impressive. Of course, on that orange bike, and he's so easy to spot for us here in the commentary box. But Jensen Bishop getting the better of Matthew Thomas on that final lap, as we watched some of the fans talking about what they've just watched, what they're about to see. And yeah, so 3 more races coming up.
Mini F1 sidecars, race 1 up next. And well, there is drama in the sidecar paddock. Mick Williams, the usual dominant force, only in P3 with a, well, I wanted to say spare passenger then. He's not got his usual partner on the bike because Mike Elms is off having a baby. So we'll have to wait and see how Mick Williams performs with the new passenger on the bike for this weekend. As we're seeing some of the chats in the crowd as we just get ready for the Mini F1 sidecars head out onto the grid as we can see them now. So it will be the Green Streets, the number 90 going from pole position. They've got a GoPro on their sidecar this weekend, which is very exciting. And Vince Bailey, the 369, starts in P2, but they were looking very fast in qualifying too. The Mick Williams, he starts P3 with that new passenger of Josh Papworth. John Hosker starts in P4 with Jacob Keats, Chris Impey and Mark Parker rounding up the grid. All eyes are on that 26 machine starting in P3. They've only not gone off pole a couple of times in the last few seasons. They're going around for a formation lap now. But of course, Mick Williams, he's not felt that confident on the bike this weekend anyway. And he's running a spare engine. He's apparently actually the GoPro is actually just a case on the Green Streets, unfortunately. That's a big shame. But yeah, Mick Williams, he's not feeling that confident on the bike. He's running a spare engine that's quite old. I think it's from 2007 because he actually found a crack in the normal engine after Wilton Mill last time out. And of course, he's got the spare passenger. I'm just going to call him the spare passenger for now. And I do apologise, Josh. Josh Patworth filling in for Mike Elms off having a kid for some reason. Why would you do that when you could do this instead? But yeah, and again, it's going to rain really, really hard tomorrow. We know Mick Williams isn't that confident in the wet, so going to be really interesting. You know, Mick Williams he's got it up against him this weekend. That number 26 outfit could be a very, very tough weekend for the number 26 machine. We'll have to wait and see. But the number 90 going off of the pole, and the Green Streets, we know they're fast from the starts, aren't they? Have to wait and see. Vince Bailey as well on the front row of the grid. Honestly, I think this is the first time in a fair few years that Mick Williams in the number 26 hasn't gone off of the front row of the grid. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen. It's a glorious afternoon here in South Wales, 20 miles to the west of Cardiff. And we're about to have some action-packed Mini F1 sidecar action for race 1 of 3 here at the Llandow International Kart Circuit. It looks like that the Hosker machine having a few problems. They dived into the pits. The passengers just jumped off and is running down the back end of the track. But we're about to go racing anyway as we look up to the lights. The lights come on now. A jump start for the key stream. They get going. Lights out. Green Streets. Mick Williams gets away really well as well. Challenging into turn 1, but it's the Green Streets from Vince Bailey in P2. Williams had to hold into P3. It was definitely a jump start for the Keats machine on the 666. And well, not surprising, we know how aggressively they like to race. But it's all neck and neck with the Green Streets already getting a huge early advantage.
Yeah, Green Street straight away on the number 90, getting a great start, and he's just put in the pace, and now it's going to be time to see what does McWilliams have with his new passenger. Can he convert it into a race win, or will it just be a podium? Although it's still a great result, it's not a McWilliams result. So McWilliams right now trying to get past Vince Bailey. It's great seeing Vince Bailey on the 3.69. Being this far from being in that second position and starting in second position. So what is going to happen? The Jaws music is playing, and now McWilliams is diving down the inside, going into the final corner. Vince Bailey, what will they have to fight back? It's two different motors in these bikes. McWilliams has a 2-stroke, while Vince Bailey has a 4-stroke. What can they do? 5 laps to go in this race. It's such a short race that we have here in sidecars. So it looks like now McWilliams, they're on a charge and they're on the hunt for Green Streets, but can they do it? Nobody knows.
We'll have to wait and see. Of course, a different engine, a different passenger for McWilliams. He's got it stacked against him, but we know how talented he is. I mean, this guy is the man who has dominated Mini F1 sidecar in the UK for countless years now, it would seem. I mean, the guy's won a ridiculous amount of championships, and his winning streak, which came to an end a few rounds ago, extended back to 2019. Such was his dominance. As a big wobble there for the Bailey machine. Wow, that was all sorts of sideways, wasn't it? We'll get going. There is the Green Streets with their empty GoPro case for reasons that I cannot quite explain. Looking for another strong result. They are currently second in the championship, trailing the number 26 by 74 points. And have had a few very strong results indeed. And they actually were the ones who broke the Mick Williams win streak, of course, back at Clay Pigeon. And looking to add another one to their tally. They've been working really hard on that bike this season. You can see their performance has been improving weekend on weekend, and finally they've been given another opportunity, this time in the try, to go out and challenge for a victory. And it's all about, do they have the pace to hold off Mick Williams? Can Mick Williams even catch them? Or are they just too quick this weekend? We'll have to wait and see with 4 laps left to go. Further back, I think there might be a few issues for the 457 and Chris Impey. There seems to be a bit of a discussion going on there between the rider and passenger, which I have no idea how that's possible. These things are noisy, but there's definitely a few glances left and right from the both of them, so hopefully the bike's all okay. Green Streets cross the line, 3 to go this time by the number 26, following just in the background of Mick Williams, and Vince Bailey on the 369, holding on to that P3 position. But the Green Streets are looking very comfortable, very slick out in the lead, and importantly, looking fast.
Yeah, they certainly are, and keep in mind, in that Q2 session, they had issues with their motorcycle and they had issues with their outfit, but now it looks like it's all sorted. They're on the pace straight away. The number 90 of Green Streets, such a slick looking outfit. They will not be able to believe their luck with McWilliams this weekend, and McWilliams in that second position is 3.2 seconds back, so it's something that we're definitely not used to seeing. But McWilliams, they're keeping their cool right now. They're not pushing too hard, because that's when you make a mistake, and the last thing they want is to be scoring a big fat 0 in their points tally, because right now the gap is a very comfortable 3.2 seconds between Green Streets and McWilliams, and Vince Bailey is a further 3 seconds back. That rounds out your podiums, but there's McWilliams drifting out of the final corner. You can just see the pace, you can see the pure confidence that he still has in that motorcycle, just slightly off the pace, because a sidecar is two minds into one. So it really has to have trust in your sidecar passenger, and of course, as we've talked about in previous, Josh Papworth hasn't been racing these mini F1 sidecars for quite a while now, so it just might take a bit of time, maybe even tomorrow, for him to get back into rhythm of it. But there's Vince Bailey, started in second place, currently in third place, still a great ride, and the Keats are coming out the final corner now on that camouflaged red and black outfit. It's such a great outfit, and it's such a fun outfit to watch. They're so aggressive with their riding style, and they really just thrash that bike about, while Vince Bailey, the 369, has a far more calculated riding style, thinks about what they're going to do, and they're far smoother. But of course it is Green Streets who's still in the race leads, and still it looks like actually Vince Bailey has caught up just slightly to McWilliams this last lap, as last lap it was 3.6 seconds the lead, well, the gap between second and third. So now it's time to wait and see what it's going to be this time around. Yeah, it's just 2 seconds. So McWilliams obviously making quite a hefty mistake, maybe having a moment But now it's last lap time. It's last lap for the Green Streets to get another race win this year. They'll be so delighted if they can get it in the everything was so delighted if we can get this, because it is in the dry. The last one was in the wet when Mick Williams was having a slight issue with their bike in the wet. They do not enjoy the wet, while Green Streets do, but Green Streets, nobody can say anything about this race win. From lap 1, it's been pure dominance. This has been a famous victory. This has been one that we're going to look back on. Coming into this round, it's a 74-point gap to Mick Williams. This will put it down. This will close up the championship. They come around the final corner, the checkered flag waves, and Green Streets wins on the blue and black number 90. They punch the air with delight, give each other a handshake. They will be so, so happy. We wait for Mick Williams to cross the line, and now, well, Mick Williams have crossed the line with Vince Bailey just 1.3 seconds back, so a further 7/10 faster on that final lap than Mick Williams was Vince Bailey. So, heading into tomorrow, we have no idea what's going to happen, to be honest. Green Street's taking the race win in the dry.
I mean, glory, glory to the Green Streets. What a historic performance we have just witnessed. Unbelievable stuff, and I'm sure they'll be delighted with that one. But what happens tomorrow is anybody's guess. With the rain coming down, well, the sidecars don't like it in the dry as it is. They slide around like there's no tomorrow. So put them in the wet as they get a wave to the camera. Oh my goodness me, it's going to be chaos. But wow, wow, just that is unbelievable. The Green Streets on top once again. And of course, maybe you could come along and give them a challenge as well. If you're sat at home, fancy getting involved, you can find out more on the FAB-Racing website. If maybe you want to get yourself a young child who fancies giving themselves a bit of a chance at a motorcycle career, you can go and find out how to get involved at the FAB-Racing website. But wow, what a performance from the Green Streets, taking their inlap nice and slow as well. But why not? That is absolutely well deserved, with a historic performance there to take the first victory in the dry from anyone apart from Mick Williams in a long time. Jason and Leo Greenstreet, take a bow. You can you can rest happy tonight, but of course race 2 and 3 to look forward to tomorrow. It could get a bit crazy.
Next up, we will have the senior mini-moto class. It's from one adult class to another. These guys, big riders, little bikes, so impressive to watch, because it's such hard and close racing. We've seen in qualifying some slight issues with one of the Birkin brothers, and now these guys, actually we're talking to Reece Gentry at the start of the weekend, and just the changes that they have to do on these bikes. So it's so impressive that these guys can even fit on these bikes in the first place and be this competitive and fast with them. Of course, there's some slightly younger riders, Holly Harris, British Time Cup rider, being in this class as well. So really, riders of all ages can come into this class at 16-year-old, and there's no really any age limit. Of course, Bernie Hook came back this year for a one-round appearance. It was so great to see Mr. Minimoto back. But we wait for these riders to head out onto the grid before we head out on the warm-up lap now, and we see some dogs actually at the circuit watching on this action, waiting for this to start and waiting for the senior Minimoto class, because these dogs have been enjoying it all day, and they clearly haven't had a rough of the action so far.
Oh,
excuse the joke. I'm here all weekend, and now these guys line up on the grid positions before we can get underway for the first race of the senior mini-moto class, because there's 19 of them, and there's quite a lot of them, and there's been quite a lot of action.
And there's quite a lot of them out of position as well. Our commentary box is right above race control in the same building, and basically over the last half an hour, the guys in race control running up and giving me different grids for the senior mini-motos. And, well, basically, they keep adding on more penalties because everyone's been cutting the track, it turns out. So everyone is completely out of position. I've been given about 30 different grids, and I'm hoping this is the correct one, with Josh Birkin starting on the pole position. Craig Asher goes from P2. Holly Harris will start P3. That's her best grid slot this season. Will Howarth, he'll go from 4th, with Chris Yeoman's 5th, and Matt Birkin, naughty boy, demoted to 6th. Reece Gentry, he'll start with 7th alongside Nick Bennett, with David Meyer and Callum White rounding out the top 10. Shanna King is 11th, and Lamar Morgan in 12th. The 7th row is Mark Payne and Keaton Payne, the 2 Paynes standing alongside each other. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Ross Michael, he's 15th, with Alberto Venteo in 16th. Then Rob Gentry, Duncan Diaper, and Robert Kitley finishing up your grid for the senior mini-motos. And if you're new to FAB Racing, if you've not seen a Senior Mini Moto race before, you haven't seen one in a while, oh boy, this is about to get crazy. These guys, you'd think, you know, these guys and girls even, Holly Harris, of course, British Talent Cup rider. Do excuse my my casual sexism there, but this is you know, for the big people on the little bikes, you'd think they'd be quite mature, and you think they'd be nice and sensible. They're out to kill each other on the racetrack. There is some atrocious things going on sometimes. I mean, you get riders pulling back other riders, just grabbing the rear fairing and just like trying to haul them back. It is simply insane. But the flag marshal points to the lights. It's time for race 1 of the Senior Mini Motos. The lights come on, the lights go out, and we are underway. It's a good start. It seems that from the pole sitter, Josh Birkin, he leads it. Oh! That is Matt Birkin, I think, who is just, it almost looked like he high-sided coming down into turn 1. That is a big accident very early on into the race, but it's still Josh Birkin that leads the way. Craig Ashall following him closely. Will Houth as well is in there. Holly Harris, unfortunately, dropping back a little bit on the opening lap, but major drama. He's ripped the visor off his helmet, I can see out in the commentary box window, but he's back on the bike anyway, so I don't know. But there we see the two leaders. It's Josh Birkin with Will Houth following in tow. Craig Ashall not far behind them, and then just behind them as well, I believe that's Chris Yeomans and Holly Harris. And that is Will Houth to the inside, challenging for the lead. Is he on the brakes late enough? No. We saw earlier in Moto Team, though, he's brilliant coming out of this corner. But a very strong counter from Josh Birkin. He leads that one. Will Houth still having a look to the inside, but cannot quite make the gap up here. It's Josh Birkin who leads the race.
Yeah, Josh Birkin leads the way while his brother Matt looks to be just trying to scrape anything he can. The impact on his head on the ground sometimes just makes the visor pop out of place rather than shatter in, so it's great safety protection that we have nowadays. But it was like, well, Houth is on the attack, and on the attack for that race lead. The number 96, of course, he had already won a race today in the Moto Team class. It was a close race then, and this is going to be a close race now. As now it looks like he's diving down the inside, but he cannot make it work going into the chicane. Instead, he's just trying to carry momentum onto this back straight and just get into a slipstream, trying to tuck in anything if it's possible on these bigger bikes. You can just see that almost touching the back of Josh Birkins with his hands. And now heading into the final corner, it's Craig Ashall actually who gets a prime view of this as Will Houth tries to make an overtake, but once again cannot make it work. Josh Birkin, he's defending so well. The number 2 bike, of course. We're so used to seeing Birkins up front. We're so used to seeing these guys up front and battling with each other that now they have so much trust and so much confidence in each other that no stupid moves will be done, and they can just have a fun, hard but fair race. And now Will Houth, he wants to make that race. He's putting that race on now. He takes the race lead, in fact, with 7 laps to go. And now, yeah, now it looks like Josh Birkin has been demoted to that second position as Matt Birkin is now being called to pull out of the race. So Josh Birkin needs to try and just get into that slipstream, keep his cool, keep his calm, and take the race lead back as Craig Ashall's dropped back just slightly as Holly Harris still tries to catch him to Chris Yeomans. Is she going to make a move heading to the hairpin this time around? No, she cannot on the number 85, but now she's trying to get the drive out the final corner towards the first corner there, but now you can see her making the move. Diving down the inside goes Holly Harris into that 4th position past Chris Yeomans. What can Chris do? We just have to wait and find out. 6 laps to go. Chris Yeomans is trying to take a far more sweeping line, just trying to get a better sweeping drive while Holly Harris is defending. Maybe that'll affect her exit, but right now Holly Harris is just using all her Talent Cup skills, which we know is such a close championship, and you have to know how to defend in that to be able to make positions and keep it.
Yeah, that was a really smart move there by Holly Harris. Super sensible up the inside. There's problems maybe for one of the riders just in the front of the shot there. But we're still following this battle round. Holly Harris leading the way from Chris Yeomans. Up the front, it's still Houth from Birkin from Ashall. But now Holly Harris, Chris Yeomans swapping positions. And Holly Harris looks to be pretty settled in that P4. And again, slightly wide from Chris Yeomans. And all problems for one of the riders. I want to say that could be Duncan Diaper, who's down the back, unfortunately, but that is a real shame. As further back as well, I think that's, I believe that was Callum White getting overtaken there by, I'm not entirely sure. There's too much going on right now, I'll be brutally honest with you. Everywhere, oh my goodness me. That was quite tight there, but it's Will Howarth who leads the way. Josh Birkin in P2, Craig Ashall third, Holly Harris in fourth, and then Chris Yeomans in fifth. We just saw them at the back of the shot. Reece Gentry's in P6, Mark Payne is 7th, Keaton Payne is 8th, Shannon King is 9th, David Myatt 10th, Callum White 11th, Lamar Morgan 12th, Ross Michael 13th, Alberto Vento 14th, Duncan Diaper 15th, Rob Gentry 16th, Nick Bennett 17th, and Robert Kitley 18th. Matt Birkin has unfortunately decided to call it quits. I believe he may have been told to call it quits because I don't think racing around without a visor is quite allowed, but he still tried his best anyway. I'll have to catch up afterwards and ask him what happened down at turn 1. But we're going to have 4 laps to go, and well, it's Howarth leading from Birkin, and we can see here some action further down on the pack as well. It's just crazy scenes, as normal in the senior mini motos.
Yes, certainly is. You can see the battle now just coming on for Holly Harris and Chris Yeomans. Chris Yeomans has got that gap. He's ate it all up, and now he's trying to find a way past. He's trying to find a way to make a move. This is senior mini motor racing. This is what it's all about. It's people from all different age ranges battling out on kids' bike at a kart racetrack. It is just insane to watch as Craig Ashall actually looks to slightly come closer to Holly Harris this time round as well, so maybe these guys are catching up to a final podium position, but it's just 3 laps to go, so if anyone wants to do anything, they need to do it faster, they need to do it now. Holly Harris looks so confident, you can just see she's oh, Holly Harris is down! Holly Harris, she's up on her feet straight away though, picking up the bike, and now is just trying to get that bike restarted, assessing the damage, but it looks like the bike has kept going, I think, or no, it's not kept going, so this looks like a retirement for Holly Harris. It's not what she was wanting. 3 laps to go. She was so close to getting a 4th place finish, but Chris Yeomans, he would have seen that, and now he will know that no one really is anywhere close to him, but no one is close to this man here. Will Howarth leads the way now by about 4 seconds over Josh Birkins, and last time around got the fastest lap of the race with 53.6. He comes around now a 55 last time round. We wait for Josh Birkins to cross the line. The gap's definitely widened. It's a 6.2 second gap this time round. 2 laps to go. This is all in Will Howarth's hand. Will Howarth just needs to use his head. The number 96, he's already won a race today in the motor team. Now he wants to do it again in the senior mini motor class. Shannon King now is under threat, under massive threat actually, on the 71 bike from Callum White. Callum White though running slightly wide in that final corner. Shannon King sets her sights on Keaton Payne just in front of her in that 8th position, battling for 8th place right now as Will Howarth still leads the way in such a dominant fashion, coming past Holly Harris, who has managed to get that bike restarted. But I don't believe she'll continue on because she's out of the points. And now with just 2 laps to go, there's nothing she can really do. And I believe there may even be some damage on that bike. But now, last lap flag will be out for Will Howarth. The yellow and black cross flag is out to signify last lap time for Will Howarth. And now we wait for Josh Birkins to cross the line. It's the same gap, 6.2 seconds. So it's all in Will Howarth's hands. He just needs to use his head, keep it cool. Yellow flags are out, so he just has to use his head. Keep slow, and someone was definitely off the track there, but Will Howarth leads the way. Number 96, can he get a 2nd race win of the day? Pops a little wheelie actually coming out of that corner. Pure commitment from him there, and pure commitment on his final half a lap. Will Howarth, the black and white bike, making its way through the final half a lap, and there is the rider. I believe that may be Callum White. Yeah, Callum White, that is that side of the track. But right now, all eyes are on Will Howarth. His final straight, 1 more corner to go for the number 96. He just needs to make it round. It's a brilliant win, a dominant win. And he comes across the line, takes the race win by a dominant fashion from Josh Birkin. And from Josh Birkin by a 5.8 second gap. It's a massive gap. It's not what we're used to seeing in the senior mini moto, but maybe that crash from Matt Birkin at the start maybe just broke up the pack slightly, and we couldn't get what we're used to seeing. But Craig Ashall comes home in that 3rd place. He's been sitting there about most of the race. Chris Yeomans does get that 4th place after battling with Holly Harris, forcing her into a mistake almost, and Reece Gentry comes home in 5th. So Reece Gentry will be pretty happy with that result. But great race once again from the senior mini motor class, and Will Howarth, fastest lap of the race, a 53.6 was his best lap this time around. So a little bit off the lap record, but Will Howarth, of course, dominant fashion, 5.8 seconds over Josh Birkins. Craig Ashall 3rd, Chris Yeomans 4th, Reece Gentry 5th. David Myatt comes home in 6th with Mark Payne just behind in 7th, Keaton Payne 8th, and Lamar Morgan comes home in 9th. Shannon King, though, rounds out our top 10, one of our female riders here at FAB. So, great senior mini motor race, fast action. They were so, and there's actually Callum White at the side of the track there. And yeah, quite a lot of riders actually stopped at the side of the track, so maybe some unreliability and just pushing too hard.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I must say, I think we're all used to seeing one of the Birkins hit the deck at some point during the race. I think it's the first time we've seen him do it before turn 1. So kudos to Matt for that. Hopefully he's all okay. I mean, he got back on the bike and tried to go round until I presume he got told, you haven't got a visor, you can go back to the pit lane, mate. But yeah, fantastic action in the senior mini motors, as we always come to expect. And a crowd coming along to watch as well. They're not part of us. They're actually just people just sat outside on the road outside. Part of the beauty of the Llandow kart circuit is literally just across the barrier from the back straight. There is just a road, so people can come across. I don't think they're watching the live stream. If you are, give us a wave. I'm not gonna guarantee anything with that one, but it's great to see a bit of a crowd forming here at Llandow. That is wonderful, wonderful stuff. Family coming on for a day out, which is great to see. You know, it's an enjoyable day out. Go rock some bikes, go around a track. What could go wrong?
Exactly, and it's exactly what it's championships for. These guys may even get into FAB-Racing, but what a great race that is, and one more race to go for the day.
So it is time for the big one. It is time for race 1 in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship. The one we've all been waiting for. This is the final step for many a young rider before they go on to the British Talent Cup and beyond. And this is the place where you want to be if you really, really want to have yourself a motorcycle career. We head off on our formation lap. Oh my goodness me, Ethan Sparks and Luke Fitchett nearly touching as they got going on the formation lap. That would have been a pretty bad start, but it is Ethan Sparks, the championship leader, the reigning champion, looking to make history by making it 2 in a row. He goes from pole position. Henry McCartney starts alongside with Samuel Munson P3 and Luke Fitchett P4. Ronnie Harris starts in P5 with Ruben Bray P6. Noah Guillory and Ollie Sims on row 4. And Harry Payne on his return to Llandow after his horrifying accident here just a few months ago. He starts from the back, but it is great to see him as we get ready for the LS2 helmets. And of course, Ethan Sparks, he looks to be the man to beat. Lewis, of course, a place with happy memories, took the championship here last season as the wind is picking up. But of course, anything can happen in the 70s. It's anybody's guess at what's going to go on.
Yeah, it certainly is, and there's only one way to know, and that is just to wait and find out. Ethan Sparks starting on pole position. It's a place where it's not really unusual to see him in that pole position. So now it's going to wait and see if he can convert that into a race. Well, I know Henry McCartney was wanting a wet race this time around, but it doesn't look like he's going to get it today. We wait for Rob to get everyone off the grid, and then we can get underway for the first race of the weekend for the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship, and we get underway now, and it looks like Henry McCartney is actually going to be leading into turn 1. Henry McCartney leads away from Luke Fitchett and Samuel Munson. Ethan Sparks drops all the way back down to 4th place. That's not where we used to see them. And it looks like Ethan Sparks is looking for a way pass already on Samuel Munson, but he cannot find any way. Ruben Bray in 5th place at the moment, but Henry McCartney leads the way. It's not the wet race he was wanting, but this is where he wants to be in that first place. He wants this race win as Ollie Sims trails just behind Ronnie Harris. Ronnie Harris, of course, getting a wild card in the British Talent Cup, but all eyes are up in front. All eyes are on Ethan Sparks there. Perfect precision, perfect move there on Samuel Munson. He got past and he's into that 3rd position, and eyes are now set on Luke Fitchett. Luke Fitchett just won the Mini GP50 race, and now he wants to convert it into a Mini GP70 race win, but he's got Henry McCartney and Ethan Sparks to deal with. The podium already looks to be heating up. This race win looks to be heating up. It's not what we're used to seeing from Ethan Sparks. He usually gets a pretty good start, but dropping all the way down to 4th.
Well, the lights went out really, really quickly, and the bike just didn't go. I'm not sure if he just wasn't quite ready for it, wasn't expecting it, or just maybe a collection of things that didn't sync up, but just watching out the window, it just didn't move. When the lights went out, and everyone else just swarmed past him, he was lucky to hold on to 4th into turn 1, but now Ethan, he's getting a shift on, isn't he? Look at already all over the back of Luke Fitchett. We know that Flat Cap Luke, he can defend for his life, but Ethan Sparks is the man to beat this weekend. No way is he going to make that. That's a huge dive bomb. Luke slams the door, almost making contact. Oh my goodness, I mean, they almost touched on the formation lap, almost coming together again. And while these two are fighting and Ethan gets stuck behind, Henry McCartney is going to use this opportunity to slide away further and further into the lead. He set a fastest lap last time out, not quite on the lap record pace just yet. The track has cooled off a lot. There goes Ethan Sparks, gets straight drive out of the right-hander at Mark Whiters. Unfortunately, gap can't appear again. Flat cap Fitcher. No, here we go into the Dell. That's brilliant. Same place he got past Samuel Munson. Up the inside of Luke Fitcher. And now his eyes firmly on the back of that 31 machine. Ethan Sparks is on a charge.
Yeah, he certainly is. Already up into second place after getting that bad start, and now it's Henry McCartney who he has eyes on. It's Henry McCartney who is in that race lead. That race lead he wants desperately as he sets the fast lap race of 47.2. That time round, he was about 7 tenths faster than Henry McCartney. So Henry McCartney, it looks like he has trouble in his hands, so he really needs to pull out the finger. Now, he looks behind him, actually coming out of that corner, and sees as Samuel Munson's under pressure from Ronnie Harris. Ethan Sparks' teammate on that Vision Track bike. But now Ethan Sparks, he's right on the tail of Henry McCartney. Will he try and line up a move heading down to this hairpin? We've seen how good Ethan Sparks is on the brakes, as he almost made contact actually with Luke Fitch at trying to make his move. But now he's trying it once again. Doctor's dangle, he's made it work. But Henry McCartney tries to get that undercut, but it looks like he's just slightly bogged coming out of that hairpin. And now Ethan Sparks leads the way in the LS2 Helmets Mini GP70 British Championship race. Race 1 of the weekend, 2 races tomorrow. Looks to be different conditions, so now Ethan Sparks needs to show all his pace in the dry. Of course, started in that pole position, as you see some of the people watching on of this premier class that we have here at FAB. Reece Peacock watching on, of course, racing in the pit bike 140 class himself, as Samuel Munson is still under pressure from Ronnie Harris. And Ronnie Harris once again looks down the inside, but cannot make it work as Samuel Munson just shuts the door on him. These guys are so aggressive. It's such fair but close racing that they have. But Ethan Sparks diving down the inside once again at the hairpin. Can he make it work? And yes, he can. Henry McCartney must have just got the better of him on that sector 3 that we have here. It's such a fast track, this. It's such a technical track as Henry McCartney dives down the inside. Ethan Sparks ran slightly wide, and Henry McCartney took every single chance he got, took every single opportunity and every single gap that arose.
While these guys are fighting, Fitcher is catching up behind. And McCartney seems just suddenly is on the same pace roughly as Sparks. He's seen Sparks is there. He's getting a move on as well. And these two are going to fight it all the way down to the line. Does he try and here again, Sparks? No. Decides against it into the Dell. Line it up, I presume, into the final hairpin, where he is so strong onto the brakes compared to everyone else. Already drawing alongside. Gets on the brakes, up the inside. This is the 3rd lap in a row. Almost touching. McCartney this time gets the switchback. Drag race to the turn 1, but it will be Sparks now leading the way with 6 to go at the line. Luke Fitcher is catching them. These guys are fighting tooth and nail. Luke Fitcher, this is going to be a 3-way fight before we know it. If McCartney can hold on and McCartney can continue to challenge Ethan Sparks as they come around to Mark White as the right-hander where Sparks runs wide. And there goes McCartney. I was just about to say that corner probably holds bad memories to Sparks, despite the fact that he won the championship here last year. At that corner in race 2 was when he was sent to the ground, and it all had to go down to the wire in the last one, and he runs wide at the very same corner. And now it's Henry McCartney. Ethan Sparks once again following Luke Fitcher, tucking into the slipstream. There goes Sparksy once again to the inside on the brakes. Oh, McCartney tries to run it around the outside, but Sparks with the superior drive once again, neck and neck. Sparks leads to it. No, Henry McCartney, brilliant around the outside. Oh, that is superb. Oh, wow. What a move round the outside. Superb bravery.
Yes, so it was Harry Payne now in the battle of Noah Gilroy at the back of the field right now. Of course, Harry Payne coming back after that injury that was suffered here at Llandow. But now Ethan Sparks needs to try and get past Henry McCartney once again. And it looks like he's going to try to line it up once again at the hairpin, but he's so fast through the chicane. He looks down the inside, but there's no gap there. Henry McCartney is being pinpoint perfect right now, as Luke Fitcher is now back into play. It's a 3-way battle for the race win, and now Ethan Sparks is diving down the inside. It's a late move, and he makes it work. And he lost the front. He lost the front, but he managed to keep it up just getting every single inch of weight off that front tyre, and somehow he's kept the race lead. Henry McCartney is still in second place right now as Samuel Munson has just been overtaken by Ronnie Harris, and he just tries to get back at turn 1 but cannot make it work as Ethan Sparks is making first place work for him. But Henry McCartney has other plans. Henry McCartney wants this race to win, and especially in the dry conditions. The number 31 needs this, but now it looks like Ethan Sparks has edged out just a slight gap. Just 4 laps to go in this race. What has Henry McCartney got left?
There was a slight mistake coming through. Matt White is from Henry McCartney running slightly wide. Luke Fitch just dropped back actually because at that last dive bomb from Ethan Sparks, McCartney chopped across and obviously just didn't see Fitcher trying to have a look to the inside of him because he initially ran wide. So Fitcher obviously had to slam on the anchors in order to not have an accident. So he's now dropped back a little bit. But if these two keep fighting, he'll be back up to the back, I'm sure. Sparks a little bit wide through the hook that time. Honestly, this is anybody's guess. Someone contact Hollywood because you can't script this stuff. This is brilliant racing.
Yes, certainly. It's just 3 laps to go in this race and nothing can be called because nothing is decided yet. Ethan Sparks leads the way by just 4/10 of a second. There is Ronnie Harris looking smooth, looking calm and looking collected, looking like Ronnie Harris because now he's got past Samuel Munson and he's just started to edge away from him and got a comfortable gap. But 3 laps to go in this race, nothing's decided yet. Henry McCartney sits his personal best lap of the race. It looks like he's trying to make a move, trying to replicate what Ethan Sparks done, but he got a bit out of shape in the braking zone and had to back out of it. And now it looks like, look, Fitchett is on the back of Henry McCartney, so if they two start battling, Ethan Sparks will, well, all his Christmases will come at once. Last year's champion, trying to turn it into a 2-time champion this year, but Ethan Sparks runs slightly wide there. But Henry McCartney just couldn't capitalise. These are the moments that you need to take. These are the moments that you need to capitalise on. Even Sparks running slightly wide there as well. But Ethan Sparks, he's such a calm and collected. He won the championship last year, and that is how you win the championship. You're calm, you're collected, and you're so precise. You see it here, and now, whoa, he's ran wide again. He's ran wide going into the back straight, and Henry McCartney has dived to the side.
Fitch's might get him. Fitch's going to get him. Fitch's going to get the lead on the inside. Who's going to be on the touch? Sparks nearly goes down. Henry McCartney to the lead. 1 lap to go here at Llandow. Sparks somehow holds on to second place. Fitch has dropped back after the contact with Sparks. I thought Sparks was on the deck for a second there. Oh my word, this is unreal stuff. McCartney leads with half a lap left to go. Sparks looking to the inside. Can he make the gap a bit? I think. Oh, he's no way is he going to try that into Chandler's. No way is he going to try that into Chandler's. He just has. That is superb. But McCartney back to the inside. This is going to go down to the last hairpin. Sparks will have the advantage with the slipstream and the brakes. We're going to have to wait and see. He gets a good run out of the penultimate corner. Who's it going to be? Sparks on the brakes. McCartney bringing it in the neck and neck. No, McCartney runs wide. Ethan Sparks wins in race 1. Oh my. That was unreal. Fantastic stuff from all of the top 3 as Ronnie Harris has gone down at the last turn. But it is Ethan Sparks who finishes on top with a brilliant race, dropping to 4th early on. That is superb action, but the top 3 neck and neck for the entire thing. Unreal.
Yeah, it was. Look, Fitchett, though, it was such a close moment there that he had on the final couple of laps coming out of the hairpin that he had to completely back out his move to not make contact with Ethan Sparks. It just made him bogged down completely. But Luke Fitchett, I can't tell that's frustration or a bit of delight at the same time, but Luke Fitchett, not what he would have wanted because there was certainly more there to offer. But Ethan Sparks, what a race, and Henry McCartney, what a race. These two, they race so well together. It's so great to see. But Ethan Sparks, he's delighted with that once again. He deserves to be honest. So great race. And further down the order, Ollie Sims comes home in 6th place after a long battle with Ruben Bray. Ethan Sparks getting a word from his dad. But wow, what a race that was. That was only the first race of the weekend for the Mini GP70. Exactly. LS2 Helmets British Championship. We have another 2 tomorrow. But once again, final race of the day. What a great race that was, and it's exactly what we expect from the Mini GP70s.
Absolutely, that was a fantastic race. Oh, just wow, unreal action. You may be wondering what's going on right now. The riders are just being held from going into the pit lane because Ronnie Harris you may have just briefly saw, had an accident at the final turn on the last lap. So that's just being sorted out. Hopefully he is okay. The bike has been wheeled back, and there you can see some of the riders going back. Ethan Sparks perhaps wanting to see if his teammate is okay. Of course, the two of them on the Vision Track Academy. Ronnie was running a pretty decent race. It was a pretty disappointing qualifying for him by his standards, only down in P7. Managed to fight back up to P4 until the crash. But wow, what a race we have just seen there. I mean, that three-way fight. There was nearly several accidents between the front three. There was neck and neck, and I thought it could have been any one of them. And in the end, was the reigning champion, the championship leader, the boy you can see there, Ethan Sparks, walking back to the pit lane. That is, well, that concludes a brilliant day's racing here at Llandow. What a fantastic, fantastic event we've had here. And of course, we've got all to look forward to tomorrow, Lewis.
Yeah, we certainly do. We have 20 races in tomorrow's programme. It's been a great day. Ethan Sparks delighted. Wave to the camera, but we're going to do it all again tomorrow, Ross. So please come back to the FAB-Racing YouTube channel, come back to Motorsport Radio YouTube channel, and come back and watch the action. Watch us here at Llandow for day 2, and we'll see you then. Goodbye.